welcome back to the official English broadcast of the Overwatch Pacific Championship. I'm AVRL, joined with me still is Smite as we get ready for match number 2, which is going to be SunSister back in the home position against Fireball, and SunSister already picking up their first loss of the night. Still 0 wins on the leaderboard. Fireball is sitting on what it was, I believe, about 4 wins. This could be the number 5 win for Fireball, or SunSister could pick up their first, as both teams are still getting ready to get themselves onto the stage. And I believe, let's have a look, it will be SunSister up first. Now, Smite, are SunSister going to pick up their first win of the tournament tonight?
SunSister, I mean, Hong Kong Attitude, apart from Detonator, Hong Kong Attitude were probably the second most likely team for them to take a win off. They didn't take a single map, and in fact, over the entire tournament, have not taken a single map off any other team except for Detonator, the only other Japanese team. So SunSister did not look terribly impressive up against Hong Kong Attitude. It was still a 3-0. They looked okay on control. In fact, they actually brought it to a stage 5. So it's possible Fireball are the next most likely team for them to take out in the tournament so far.
And absolutely, we said that about Detonator Gold as well, though. The last time these two met, which was, I believe, Friday, Detonator Gold versus Fireball, Fireball eventually came out on top of that as well. Now, Detonator have been a Japanese team that have also been struggling, have already beaten SunSister. They've fallen over to Fireball, and you got to think as well, maybe SunSister will have the same fate, but if any opportunity for SunSister to get a win, it should be against Fireball. Until, of course, they actually meet Detonator. But, yeah, I mean, this is actually, before we get into the further comments, the two coaches, or the two captains, gonna meet up in the middle here.
我々は諦めずに自分たちのベストを尽くすだけです。
Still
Still can't speak Japanese, but that is Night Owl on the left.
好，接下来呢是我们的 Fireball。好，来，请跟我们观众说几句话。
ครับก็สวัสดีครับก็ขอให้ SunSister ทำให้เต็มที่แล้วกัน
OK， 他也是说我会尽力，还有呢，他们还没有放弃，想要打好这场比赛。
Okay, I think it was pre-written because the hostess has already had the answer written down. So the hostess said the answer was that they haven't given up. They're still trying their hardest.
可见他不是他们那一队里面最会演的那一个人。好。 不管怎么样子呢，我们的那个比赛就要正式开始了。所以呢，希望大家都有一个好的表现，让你们呢可以打对手，从外太空打到行天宫。
She's really hyped. I wish I could be that hyped right now.
分析台主持人。
But I am kind of hyped. I'm kind of hyped for SunSister to potentially do actually get a win on that scoreboard, and this is a game that I believe this match in particular has the possibility to go to a full best of 5 now. For SunSister to get there, they need a fair amount of consistency, which I believe Fireball already have. And let's take a look at the matches from today. Obviously, match 1, 3-0 for Hong Kong Attitude. We're currently in match number 2. Fireball away, SunSister on the home side. After this as well, Fireball are going to be going up against Flash Wolves with the home advantage, but Flash Wolves after a 3-0 against Blank kind of look unstoppable right now before we lock up with match 4, Machi versus AHQ.
So many important matchups today. It's looking really impressive, but this next one is the most important for the bottom of the table right now. This is the second last and the third last team right now. And with Hong Kong Attitude, they were talking about their goal was going to be to make playoffs. Now, that goal is kind of, it's stretching further and further away for these teams at the bottom of the table. There's a big gap between Fireball and Machi Esports, who are currently sitting in 5th place. And, you know, SunSister and Detonator, 1 win between them. So really, it's so important for these teams if they want to start their path to get towards playoffs, even though it's starting to look like a bit of a dream for them right now. This is where it begins, especially for SunSister, but also for Fireball, who actually feel like more of a chance of getting towards playoffs.
And this is backtracking a little bit, but something in the final Hong Kong couch interview where Jay said they had better scrim results than they had match results. Now, I watched a different interview with Zonda. I believe it was, it might have been one of the interviews from yesterday with Zonda, where either he said or one of his teammates said that they had actually quite poor scrim results, but coming into the matches they performed quite well. Obviously they beat Blank 3-0 I don't think you can get better match results than that.
Hard to get better than
that's
that.
about the best match result you can hope for. So interesting dynamic between the teams where, you know, good scrim results versus bad match results and vice versa. Now going in for SunSister and Fireball. I don't know how they've been doing in the scrims. We do know how they have been doing in matches, and the matches say SunSister need to get one win on the board at least, I think, would be good for their team. But Fireball, they're trying to get the catch up in there. And for a team at 4 wins, getting the 5th win gets them that much closer to catching up with both Machi and Hong Kong Attitude.
Absolutely. I mean, it will even them up just a little bit further. And also, I want to talk about how SunSister are going to come into this, because last match against Hong Kong Attitude, Control was their best showing. That went to a 5th stage. They almost didn't take it away from Hong Kong Attitude. And even on the 5th stage, where they tried to do something a little bit funny with Mei, it still wasn't a 99-0. Like
I wasn't laughing. It's funny, but I didn't get the joke.
No, I don't think Hong Kong Attitude got the joke either. They were just like, what's going on?
No, in fact, I think if anyone was laughing, it'd be Hong Kong Attitude.
They might have been laughing, but I don't think they got the joke, is where I'm going with that. But the results are what I want to talk about, is that Mei shenanigans aside, is that they did get it to a 5th stage, and even the 5th stage wasn't a total wipeout for them. So coming up into Control against Fireball, now even though Fireball are lower on the table than Hong Kong Attitude, I think Control is probably their best map. But a lot of that does come from them having different map picks to a lot of different teams. They'll pick Nepal, they'll pick Ilios instead of everyone else who just picks Lijiang Tower. SunSister though, it's their pick. They have got to be picking up that Lijiang Tower again. There's no reason not to.
Let's take a look at the 2 lineups back to back. Of course, we've already seen SunSister earlier tonight. On the left over here, XQQ, the man, the myth, the legend, and also, if he continues to play Mei, I don't know what to add to the end of that.
He'll be a legend, but for another reason.
Yeah, he'll be like infamous instead of just famous. And so for Fireball, this is pretty standard for them as well. Apudo on the left there. You got both of your main characters of the story, you could say, the protagonists of their team sitting there. This is actually Night Owl on screen right now, the captain of SunSister, previously their main DPS player, now moved on to support. And I'll highlight Apudo later on when we get to him, but Night Owl had some interesting choices with Transcendences tonight. I don't think he has a bad performance on Zenyatta, mostly on the ult choices that I wasn't so sure about in. But that's going to be Elu here as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you use Transcendence, it's something that's going to carry over to a lot of the other support characters. I mean, Lucio uses Sound Barrier at the wrong time. Elucio, that rolls off the tongue pretty well. But you use the Sound Barrier at the wrong time, then you're going to get a similar result to Transcendence, right?
This is my kind of guy.
Just wasted. Mollis.
He's been picking up on Tracer so much. I think I've been really, of a lot of the changes that have been made, specifically for SunSister, Mollis has been an impressive person on Tracer. Now, no, he's not Eat Up. He's not Bacon Jake just yet, but he has been really getting in there. And Shearspan, the tank player, you don't get to see his most pick, but just imagine it's basically Reinhardt and Winston. Now, we saw that kind of interesting Winston play right at the end there that wasn't so great. And Odinkun here as well. He's a flex tank that's most recently been picking up on the Soldier. We've already seen XQQ, so for Shearspan and Odinkun, how have they been performing?
Odinkun, when he's on D.Va, I'm always pretty glad with his results. We even saw it in the interview against with Hong Kong Attitude. K4 mentioned, look, I was shut down by D.Va quite a lot. It's really quite annoying. They dive me a lot, and I was caught pretty off guard by it.
There it is, the captain, Zelfix, with the Lucio as now his main pick. He started off as the Reinhardt player of the team. Interesting that Winston's there, because he says he doesn't play Winston, and Rocket is now the dedicated Winston player, and there he is, Rocket himself.
Just forget the other two heroes there.
Well, no, actually, don't forget Reinhardt, because he actually does play Reinhardt now. The last time we saw Fireball, they did pull out a Reinhardt, and Rocket was the person on the Reinhardt. So, I mean, there it is. I think Rocket is now fully transitioned onto the tank role. Got NZNR, who I rate as a very decent Tracer player. Now, again, not an Eat-Up level, not a Bacon Jack level, but he's close. He's really now getting there. And
but it's great. It's great, right? And we'll get to Apudo later and talk about the
boy,
combination of them.
Will we get to Apudo later?
Yeah, we will. But ninth there, another solid D.Va. I wouldn't rate him as like the
He's
the
actually
top
been picking
D.Va.
up the other DPS.
Yeah, the other DPS as well. But we'll see if he stays on that D.Va. Here's Kurlos as well, another support player. Oh my god, these guys are adorable.
Wait your turn, Apudo.
Come on, Apudo.
You'll get your turn later, Apudo. Let Kurlos have his moment.
It's always the DPS trying to steal the glory from the support. Like, so typical, right? So typical. There's a Pudo. We get all of him. Oh.
You get a little bit more than you asked. I actually kind of understand why they sit next to each other, because when you think about it, Kurlos is the Ana player. Apudo is your main DPS. Who are you going to nano boost? You're mainly going to nano boost Apudo. So if you sit next to him, you look over to your left slightly, okay, that's what he's doing, cool, I'm going to nano boost him, I know exactly where he is, what he's looking at, done. It's actually, when you think about it, when you're in a LAN environment, your seating arrangements actually do make some sense.
You think he just like kicks him under the table when he wants a nano boost? Like, hey buddy, got tac visor.
Yeah, okay, there's an easier way to do that. It's called using your comms and your voice communication on your mic.
No, but what if someone else is talking? Someone's saying something boring like, oh, the objective is going into overtime.
Something boring, more like something relevant that will help you win the game. Now, okay, we said we wanted to bring up Apudo a bit because the thing I want to mention specifically about Apudo is I want to contrast him. Okay, so first of all, the map was Lijiang Tower, to no one's surprise. SunSister are very confident on this map, and so they should be, almost taking the win against Hong Kong Attitude. But back to Apudo, because compare the two DPS plays, XQQ versus Apudo. Now, they play kind of similar picks as well, except for the fact that we haven't seen Apudo bring up Mei and Widowmaker, and for good reason, because Apudo hasn't needed to. Apudo's picks, all of his other picks, have been top tier. His results have been great. He doesn't need to go onto these random picks, and this is an example of someone who has a rather large backpack for his team, and I'm glad he's stretching out his back, because he's going to need a lot of back strength, or maybe not specifically for this game, but in general. This is the man of, he is the man of Fireball. He's almost the face. I would say he's definitely the face of Fireball. And for someone of his prestige and caliber, I think he's done a great job of picking up weight for his team. Well, you guys are missing out on this. You just got the end of it, but that was great. And contrast that to XQQ, who's in a very similar position, but makes questionable choices.
Yeah, and the other thing as well is that if Apudo gets focused, like if he literally has 6 people just dive on top of him, Fireball don't fall apart from that. They still have NZ and R. I mean, I was going to talk about the dynamics between those two, is that they work really well together, and you don't fall into a Zonda problem where Apudo wants to play everything. NZNR, he's happy to play that Genji, happy to play that Tracer as well. So is Apudo, happy to play that Genji. They don't run into issues of, well, oh, we already have a Tracer.
It's like Xiaolin and K4.
Yeah, exactly, right? There's no conflicts between their picks right now. NZNR and Apudo, they complement each other so well. And also, like I said before, they don't fall apart when one of them dies. The other one is always there.
No one else gives hugs. These guys give hugs. The Thai team will give you a hug. Everyone else will give you a handshake.
Do you think Blank just gives the other team a high five?
Blank will give you a blank stare. They'll give you a blank face and then stare you off from this. No, Serenity's a really lovely guy, so he'll definitely give you a handshake. Yep. Like it's the tournament stakes are you're winning. You want to win so you can get the handshakes, but for Fireball, you'll give hugs instead. So for SunSister, if you lose, you won't get to give out handshakes, but you will receive a hug from Fireball.
Oh, can't tempt them with that, right? I mean, it's almost like they'll want to lose getting those hugs from Fireball and Apudo as well, the way he treated that camera before. But anyway, SunSister, Fireball, into Lijiang Tower we go. It's going to be control center. Have SunSister adapted? They've gone back to their 2-2-2. It's XQQ on the soldier. This is what we wanted to see.
This is exactly what SunSister need to do, and they need to stick to this. I won't be angry if XQQ goes on to Genji, but I'll be disappointed if he goes on to just about anything else except for McCree. So far, pretty even start. Night Owl might get chunked out here, so SunSister got to be careful with their positioning. A bit of a Tracer duel just on the high ground, as well as Apudo looks for a pick on the side.
Oh, NZNR is the one to go down. Muller's picking up the kill. This is the moment for SunSister to get aggressive. Apudo still getting free damage and not being contested at all. But a second kill picked up for SunSister should all but secure them the point right now.
And Mollis, he's been the man. I mean, I've talked about this guy picking up Tracer, but he really is picking up Tracer. Good sort of exit frag from Apudo as well. We'll just give them something a little bit extra as they make their re-entry here. Kurlos misses the sleep dart, throws the bio grenade over the top, and here comes, that's not the bio grenade, it's actually a nano boost straight onto Apudo. The man sitting to the left of him as he chunks down SunSister allowing Fireball to easily get this cap out.
They did commit a nano boost to it, and that's a fair amount of resources, but look what they still have to play with. They've still got a self-destruct, they've still got a sound barrier. SunSister, they bought a little bit of time contesting at the end there, but 31%, that's only about an average hold right there. SunSister though, for all the ultimates that Fireball have got, they've got some of their own XQQ coming up to that tactical visor. Even a self-destruct from Odinkin, who sometimes get these magical triple kills. Can't rely on that though. It's going to be all on the XQQ show, and Ninth, he's got to do his job. He's got to shut that tac visor down.
I actually think a 2 ultimate victory is about market rate. That's not too expensive. You're not underselling yourself as well. Let's see what SunSister are going to be able to put into this. Still not fully a fan of the Transcendences coming up from Night Owl. Just seems a little bit preemptive, and for 2 ultimates, Fireball already got a win, and for 2 ultimates on SunSister, they're still struggling to get anything out of it.
Speaking of good self-destructs as well, picking up a kill with one, not the most common result, but Fireball, they seem to be holding, but SunSister, they're still committing more. That tactical visor straight into a sound barrier, straight into a defense matrix, and Fireball continue to hold the point. They're just going to sit back, and like you said, they're getting these market rate team fights, spending a few ultimates here and there, but importantly, making SunSister spend their own for losing team fights.
Yeah, that's almost like you paid way too much, and then it just broke straight away, and you didn't even get a warranty. So for SunSister, spending 5 ultimates, getting nothing out of that. Fireball now way in the lead, doubling the progress meter onto SunSister, and still have ultimates ahead of SunSister is an incredible position to be at.
The big one being this Nano Blade right here goes in, a kill off the bat onto XQQ. Does get shut down, that's 2 kills back. This is already a good trade for SunSister, who are now jumping onto the point. A Primal Rage already used. Do they have the DPS to follow it up? Everyone's still alive. XQQ is running back to the point as May. What a surprise. No one's surprised today, but they've got position on the point. The Fireball, they're fighting back.
Wow, that was an unfortunate start for Fireball, and SunSister finally are able to get a bit of return on there. I just want to ignore that wall. I don't want to speak to its existence here because I'm starting to get a bit upset.
Well, if he gets a wall off here, he may be able to get a few free
Okay,
kills.
well that works. Do something, please get the kills.
They got them. They got them.
There's one more they can get, and I want them to do well here.
So that's the surprise factor.
I have SunSister's best interest in heart.
Oh, did he just walk? No, okay, he actually blocked them in there. Did pick up a kill there. So good use of the wall there. And SunSister, they can actually block off a lot of entry points. Essentially, Fireball can't go through that stairwell anymore because XQQ will just wall them off. They can dive through, take multiple different routes.
What was that from Incident now? It was a tricky little play.
I don't know, it didn't really net
good
too
enough
much.
Because yeah, you're right, it didn't mean too much. It looked good, but style points won't win you a fight.
So it's going to be already a 6v5. What a Fireball got. They're still committing to this, and so they should with a double kill on that self-destruct. Apudo coming up to that Dragon Blade. If you can get it, they should be able to secure a fight. They are going to use it. They are going to commit. XQQ, there's no May in this match anymore, and he cleans up a few more kills. Fireball should secure the point here.
While interestingly enough, SunSister with that little play managed to get a tie up, and they're about to hit it to overcome as well because they don't want to give up the point. It might just be a mistake because they're spending all the ultimates they would need to go for the retake. Well, actually, there's not really any chance for a retake because Fireball are 92%. So I guess for SunSister, this is it. They have to win right here. If they can't win right here, I think Fireball might just get it.
This is do or die, but they do have Mollis. Mollis can defy a huge amount of time onto the point, but the Blizzard is there. They're completely denying any positioning on the point for Fireball. They're trying to go in now that the Blizzard is down. Didn't catch anyone. It only bought them time.
They need time, but what they need more than time is actual trades, actual kills, and XQQ, we've lauded him as someone that can actually land these right-click icicles, and so far, well, we're not seeing him on the kill feed, so something is not happening, and as XQQ goes down, Elu is the only one alive. You need more than an Elucio.
No, he's slow CO there.
Slow CO.
Yeah, that was a bit of a stretch, I've got to say.
Neck exercises,
yeah.
A bit of a stretch for Apudo as well, as he just wants to stretch out all of his limbs, including his head there, got his neck going.
We saw him with the hand exercises last time, and now it's the neck. I mean, maybe he's the brains behind the operation, you know, too much weight in his head.
What are they doing? Are they doing rock, paper, scissors? Like, what does that mean? You play Anna, no. You play Anna next time.
There's his hand exercises there. Keeping himself warm. Occupational overuse syndrome, it's a real thing. Look it up. Professional gamers. Professional gamer wannabes. Got to keep those old hands. Don't want to overwork them, but
I'll let you Google that for me.
I learned it in high school. It's a big thing. But
You also learned to be a professional gamer in high school? Is that why you had to learn it?
yeah, I was a fantastic gamer in high school. But hey, look, we're on to night market.
Yeah, me too. I just didn't get paid for it. Anyway, SunSister execute bringing out the Pharaoh. Will he stick onto it? He doesn't have Mercy support. Night Owl wanted to go to the Mercy. They're going to do the same thing they did just recently against Hong Kong Attitude, and it was very short-lived. We'll see if it wields any better results. And so far now, Engineer gets the revenge first take onto Mollis, who was a bit of a terror in the opening fights on Control Center.
Fireball just have to win the fight on the ground, and then there's not too much a Fire can do. However, the fight is going long enough for Execute to eventually start landing some of these shots, but it's still going long. That, in fact, respawns are starting to become a factor here. They're still going in. No deaths for a very long time. There is SunSister finally taking the lead here. We saw this, tactical visor just to secure the fight. I feel like they already had the win there. This is something that Fireball can punish.
That's definitely overkill for Odin. They think they were going to win that fight regardless. The Tac Visor is more like something you want to initiate a fight with, or at least use midway and not right at the end. Well, SunSister will take a win where they can get it, I guess. The bad news for them is Fireball capped first, so SunSister playing a little bit of catch up. The early frag onto Curlis as well might open up the chance for further conversion kills. Does get themselves a mech, and Aputo's finding it difficult to secure a target. It's going to be the 1v1.
Well, one rocket hit, that should clean it up, but Fireball, that was a losing fight from the start. They were killed by a pulse bomb and then lost another member. One frag after the other is just keeping SunSister alive. These are extended fights. This is just buying SunSister more time on the point, but it's also giving Fireball time to build up those ultimates because they haven't been committing them. They've still been saving them up, but a pick there is just going to buy SunSister even more time.
I did not like that incident. I wanted to go for the aggressive play, but he actually blinked into the other side of the map, onto the enemy territory, didn't manage to get the health pack in time, and put himself in a situation where I think he was unlikely to get out alive. And can Aputo do a bit better here? Now, Fireball are committing when they are played down. Hopefully, Inzana gets back on the point. Anyway, Odin gets taken down by the Nano Blade, but realistically, nothing else. And here comes the rest of the Fireball lineup. Cavalry's here as Inzana returns as well. No, it's just SunSister. I'm not going to be able to hold out. A Primal Rage from Shuri's Pan, I think, might get a bit wasted here. Although, you know, there's a bit of a trade-off. Using it there does allow him to stall for some time to get a couple of extra percentage points on the board.
It would have been better if he'd got about 5% more. 80% is that mark where you just sort of cap the point and then force the other team into a bit of a rush to get onto the point. 75%, it's still okay, but how are they going to retake the point without their ultimates? XQQ hiding off in the corner, trying to find a bit of a cheesy barrage, ended up having to rush and find one as quickly as he could. He has recall.
I almost thought, yeah, you're right, he does have recall, but I was looking at that like, what if he missed the fence? And I don't want to think about that right now, because Inzana is thinking about taking down the whole of the SunSister team almost by himself. Aputo's going to get himself a little cheeky kill in the end, and Mollis is kind of just hanging out. I kind of want Mollis to be doing something a little bit more productive with his time.
Yeah, but I mean, while his team is currently respawning, he needs to find a place to just completely stay safe, because SunSister...
He looks like he wants to find a nice home to settle down in while his team
just like XQQ was finding that nice plant to sit in earlier as well. He was the plant then, but now look at them, they're forcing a fight into the white room. It's a bit interesting because they're the ones running the Fire. Fire doesn't get a huge amount of advantage in their tight spaces, pretty hard to work with, but Mollis, you can find this pulse bomb, goes a little bit too wide even. Hasn't used it yet, but he blinked a bit too far.
There's a couple of chances and he misses the chance. And SunSister might just miss their chance to win this game if they're not too careful here. A couple of suicides. It looks like they want to reset.
Do they have time?
Shuri's Pan didn't even have time to reset. In fact, SunSister might not even have time to really contest this. We're about to get into 90%. This will indeed go into overtime.
They can
expect all the ultimates, but it will be in desperation, and we know how that ends.
And they did use a few ults out of Fireball in the last fight. Aputo using that Dragon Blade, but there's still an Anubis. Enzaruda can find a Pulse Bomb. So SunSister, despite it being a rush, it's a better situation than before.
He doesn't find the pop bomb, which is a little bit sad, makes me cry just a little bit, but SunSister might cry a little bit more if they don't win this one. Can Mollis find at least a kill onto somewhere? He's trying really hard, smacks Curlos in the face, takes him down, but it's just him and XQQ alive against many members. I would say at least 3 of Fireball still in there.
2v3 and a Winston.
Incident still has a pulse bomb as well. Eventually, Knight takes down Mollis. XQQ's turn to try and make it happen. Rocket barrage into thin air. No, gets two on the end. What Fireball walked into that?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I think they actually got punched into it by the Primal Rage. Look at
it better.
Yeah, I mean, look at him go. Shirazpan throwing everyone around the place, buying time for his team to return. Odenkin picking up a kill with the Helix Rockets. Apudo, he's got almost Dragon Blade, but he gets taken out. And SunSister are going to take the point. But remember what I was saying before, 75%. That's not enough to push the enemy team into a desperation mode.
Well, the desperation mode was that Fireball towards the end of that decided to continue feeding players in. I think they needed to be deciding whether they can
that's big.
Actually fall out or not. Now they don't have a choice to fall out. Kurlos will just have to respawn in time. As the rest of Fireball need to get in a Apudo with a Dragon Blade looking for targets. Gets into the backline, gets shut down by Night Owl. Self-destruct misses as well, and time is now running up for Fireball. I think SunSister are ahead. XQQ even on the May. I don't like it, but he's doing it.
He's doing it. It's going to buy him time.
I don't like it, but it's working. And I don't like that it's working either.
It's going to shut them out with the walls, and right now it's just cleanup mode for SunSister unless a miracle comes in for Fireball right now. One kill here and there, but...
Oh, he headshots into the now. Come on.
He does that all the time. I mean, he was doing it constantly in a
He
Mango.
didn't do it on Control Center when they needed it, but whatever.
No, unfortunately not. But hey, look, he's doing it now. Like I said, this should be cleanup mode for SunSister. They've got to get these kills. Fireball, they're buying time with that Primal Rage on Rocket, but, well, these kills, it's just going to be slowly cleaned up for SunSister. They've still got ults to use. There's a Transcendence to keep them alive. And this Monkey should surely go down and secure it to 1-all for SunSister and Fireball.
I think Fireball kind of let that one go, but I think Fireball had absolute control towards the end there. SunSister came in a really big way, and for Fireball, instead of backing off and saying, okay, we'll concede this point to you for the time being, but we will come back stronger, and they would have come back stronger, but unfortunately, because they trickled players in and they sacrificed those players' lives, their ability to get the recap in was severely hindered, not to mention Mollis's pulse bomb right there on Kurlos, immediately forcing this 5v6 against SunSister. Really set SunSister up to win.
Even before that fight though, when they had just lost the fight, there was about 90% to go, so SunSister had to rush to the point. That could have been a moment for Hong Kong Attitude to push.
Hong Kong Attitude to push.
Yeah, I mean, just push right up to the point. It was after they just defended it and just before SunSister had taken it back.
Last match?
Sorry, not Hong Kong Attitude, Fireball.
I was going to say, like...
Hong Kong Attitude could have helped, but let's forget about
Hong Kong Attitude are on their way to the bar right now after a victory.
Yeah, I mean, so they should be, but hey, look at this. It's Fireball, it's sitting on the point. They've got positioning. SunSister have to jump onto them.
Going to be counter jumps from both sides. I like Fireball's positioning. They force the engagement to happen onto the actual cap itself, and Odenkin gonna get slapped down by the Lucio himself, Zelfix. Lucio's definitely picking up in a big way here. 54% on his ult. Fireball, again, positionally, they force SunSister to play their game. They force SunSister to play in the fighting ground in the environment that would suit them the most. And when you're running a soldier, you want to be fighting out in this big open plain. You don't want to be jumping out on the point. XQQ's had enough already. He's ready to...
Pan your eyes over to the left-hand side of the screen, ladies and gentlemen. XQQ back on the May. Well, I mean,
I'm going to try and not pan my eyes to the left side of the screen for a little bit now.
You can avoid it, but he's run it on this map before. Not
if I can't see it, it doesn't exist.
It did win one fight, but surprise factor definitely is not the name of the game here. Pulse Bomb goes wide. There's a Nano Boost ready for Fireball, and along with the Dragon Blade, no, but he goes down. There's no Nano Boost.
And Elu as well, slapping down Apudo, but I don't think it's going to be enough for Fireball to actually lose the cap. Not if NZNR is going to get the trade kills back, and you know, both these traces have been pretty impressive. I'm still really letting it sink in. Mollis's performance on Gardens was pretty good. It really set SunSister up for a win, but can it set SunSister up again? Well, effectively, SunSister are running double DP, 2.5 DPS against a lot of ultimates. We've seen SunSister in worse situations where they have come back.
I mean, that's one way to get into the point, but with Winston just slapping you straight out of there, there's no way you can go into contest here. There's still some ultimates ready for Fireball, but another right click into the face of NZNR, taking him out of the fight straight away. XQQ, he can at least make that part work. They're moving on to the point now. With the one pick, they need to be playing aggressive. That self-destruct shouldn't find anyone, and they're still moving on to the point. Kills on both sides here. There's not a whole lot of ultimates left to go. There's only NZNR's Pulse Bomb, and he's still making his way back to the fight. Blizzard does secure positioning on the point for SunSister, even picks up a few kills, and as soon as NZNR gets back to the point, there's an icicle to the brain. takes him out of the fight straight away.
Oh, I mean, I've had brain freeze before, but not like that. That's something different entirely. SunSister get themselves back on the cap, but they are so far behind. Fireball, if they can just stay patient here, play conservative, understand how much time they actually have to work with, and utilize that time properly, plan around it, understand which fights they don't need to win, understand which fights they should commit on to, they should be able to still get this.
Well, not committing a nano boost to this one. Actually, no, my mistake, they do.
This is working quite well. It does seem like Fireball have made, so far, the correct choice. Into the night, eats another icicle to the face. I mean, he's a bit of a magnet to these so far.
Yeah, maybe just come back out and take, I don't know, road.
It's that, or it's like, they're like heat-seeking, they're tracer-seeking icicles that directly get the headshots and tracers for barely anyone else. I think XQQ might just need to get a kill on someone else at this stage because Fireball are just about cleaning up SunSister. The recap will definitely put SunSister in such a terrible position in the game.
I mean, SunSister, they're still throwing bodies at the point, but at this point, do you feel like maybe they have to? There's 95% on the point, they have to sprint back to the point. And Mollis, while he might be able to buy some time for his team, there it goes into overtime. There's just no positioning.
That was bad. That was bad for Fireball because they had no reason to get a delayed kill on the sleep target right there. I think they've realized at the end, it's like, wait, this sleeping target is the only one still contesting the point. Why are we waiting? We can just win if we kill him. So by actually leaving the sleeping target there, if they left him any longer, SunSister could have had another person contest, and then you'd had this overtime struggle that Fireball already struggled with. So I mean, wow, it's a very small thing, but Fireball got to remember, like when you're about to win, don't do that.
I mean, we even saw a mistake like that come out from Machi against Blank, all the way back on Watch Point Gibraltar, I believe. They thought they'd got the second checkpoint, and Blank come out of nowhere.
That's different though.
It's a bit different.
It's a little bit different, but
it's the same mindset.
This one's almost like you forgot you're playing control and you forgot that the thing you're trolling right now on the ground is sleeping is actually what's keeping the other team still in the game. We're going to go back onto Control Center, and it's going to be a vastly, or rather not vastly different lineup for SunSister. In fact, right now, this is just the standard rollout for them.
Yeah, I mean, not even bothering to swap halfway through anymore. XQ is sold on this Mei. NZNR, he needs to find that icicle if SunSister want to start winning this fight. Where are you, XQ? There you are! There you are!
I think NZNR would be pretty frustrated by this by now. And for SunSister, this isn't even part of the special anymore. This is just now on the standard menu. And what else is on the standard menu is the ability to get an opening frag for SunSister and to actually secure the first cap. And
NZNR, he swapped onto the maze, sick of these icicles anymore. He's going to start doing it to Mollis.
I don't know if this is the right option because, I mean, it's funny, but can Fireball actually turn this into a win? And the problem is, SunSister are, I guess it's still kind of even. You've got one team with a Tracer, no Genji. Another team have a Genji and no Tracer. I don't know. I think Fireball should have just kept to their guns a little bit. You need to just not get too individually emotional or individually affected by this.
Well, God, walls everywhere.
What am I watching anymore?
What is this? What is this? Is this the new Mei cinematic that's been hyped up by Blizzard? God, are they both frozen now as well? This is ridiculous.
Like, logically, Mei shouldn't even be allowed to be frozen by Mei. You know what I mean? Like, logically, that just shouldn't be allowed, but there it is.
Well, SunSister, at least a little bit more practiced in the Mei composition here. Winning, I mean, a fight in just miles away from the point as well. Fireball, they've got a breakthrough. They do have a nano boost combo. They've swapped 9th over onto the Zarya as well. And I don't disagree with this. You can put a shield onto a Pudo, but hey, when you're blocked out by the wall, you've committed Transcendence and a triple kill.
This is a back out. This is a back out completely for Fireball. Don't even go for the Dragon Blade. NZNR makes the right choice, goes back onto the Tracer. However, he wasted a lot of time mucking about with his own Mei that, you know, realistically had no results. Mei isn't good for re-attacking a point. Mei is good for holding. If you're SunSister, now is not a bad time to have a Mei because you can get a spawn camp quite effectively. Now you just have to patiently play around the wall. Fireball got to look for a position to actually engage. They forced out a sound barrier it's good, but they're running out of time.
Running out of time, I mean, they've got to get to that point. It's at 98%. They're contesting, that's great. And Fireball actually are picking up a few kills here. Get the Diva out of the mech. They've still got the Nano Blade. If they can get a Pudo to the point, they should be able to secure it here. They're picking up kills left, right, and center. A Pulse Bomb to secure a double kill. And XQQ, you can delay all you like, but you're going to get hit by the blade as soon as you leave that ice block. 0% though for Fireball.
And
this is the
we're
first
gonna
time
go straight into a
they're going
pause
to
and
cap the point.
I'll say this about Fireball though, if they wanted to be slightly cleaner, one thing they could have done is for a Pudo to not actually wait for the Mei to come out of Cry Freeze, because that's a guaranteed kill. Now this is a very high level meta talk, but consider this. If you're the Dragon Bladed player, you have a player that's a guaranteed kill, one thing you should actually be doing is going directly to the opponent's spawn anyway and maybe catching a respawner at that stage with the remainder of your Dragon Blade. That could turn into a kill your team really needs. Secondly, even if there's no one there, you want to give that kill over to someone else in your team, preferably someone that doesn't have ult charge, because if you're Dragon Bladed, you getting the kill doesn't feed ult back into yourself. You're still at 0%, but that ult charge could be useful for another teammate.
Speaking of 0% ult charge as well, that was an expensive push for Fireball. I mean, Nanoblade, yeah, you expect to use that to win a fight, but they used a few others as well.
I think they got desperate.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you have to. There was overtime ticking on the point. Most of your team was still running through the very first doorway, trying to get around that Mei wall. So eventually, yeah, you clean up, but it's an expensive push. You're sitting at 0%, and SunSister, they only have to win one more fight. They can just go for a few of these pushes where they commit at the very most one ultimate to try and bait out a whole lot from Fireball, and Fireball seemed like a team that SunSister can punish with that they can actually bait out these ultimates, and with starting from 0%, they've got plenty of time to do so.
And remember though, Control is quite a momentum-based map. I think a lot are anyway, but Control in particular, the reason you see these big 100 to 99 to 0 to suddenly 99 to 100 sweeps is the team in control of the point has a lot of room to dictate the pacing of the game. When you have control, especially if you're spawn camping as well, especially if you're the team sitting there with the Reinhardt shield, I'll even say a Mei wall, it's doing the same job, technically worse, but you're doing effectively the same job. You absolutely control what you're basically choke holding your opponent's options. You're denying your opponent the ability to make effective choices because they're very limited. They're really realistically, it's like we need to get past the choke first. We need to get past the actual spawn cap, or we can try and go for a bit of a flanking maneuver. But it's, you know, there's a lot of different. You have to really consider how you get past the initial choke before you even get to the point. And not only that, but you have to initiate ultimates generally. The defensive team that have the cap, they can wait for you to ult first and then ult second and get a better trade.
That's the best position, right? When you wait for the enemy team to ult, you usually predict these guys are going to use a lot in this fight if they're ulting, right? And the most important thing to recognize is this a one ult push where they're trying to bait out our own ultimates? You've got to call them on their bluff. You see a sound barrier coming out, you've got to say, okay, look, we could win this fight if we use our Nanoblade, but at the same time, they've got the better trade. And then you've also got to recognize, like, okay, sound barriers come out. There's also a tactical visor going. Got to recognize those situations.
And got to recognize if there's a way to break into Fireball right now, which I'm going to say there is, because Fireball are not holding close at all, and probably shouldn't. They don't have a lot to work with here. Neither team has ultimates. Now what Fireball got to consider is that the Mei is still on the field. And like I said, Mei is not fantastic for retake. Mei is good for holding when you've already got the cap. Fireball got to do something with that.
Wait for XCQ to get a headshot onto NZNR, or you just take out the Winston first, Rocket's down, but Trade's coming out.
He did it.
He actually got a headshot.
I just cannot believe how consistently, but only on Traces, it's like not on anyone else.
But this is also the fight that SunSister can commit all their ultimates to. They've already got a few kills here on the board, so even though things were looking a little bit even earlier on, they can throw ults, they can throw Blizzard, they can throw Primal Rage, push Fireball off the point. But a Graviton Surge is ready for Fireball. They could combo this up, but with what? They've got a Pulse Bomb close, they're holding on to it for that. They need to get a big team wipe here.
They don't have time, they're getting walled off again. This is where Mei is actually quite effective. And for the first time ever, NZNR doesn't get immediately headshot. The Graviton Surge come out any moment. There it is. Pulse Bomb as well, misses. Opportunities falling apart for Fireball. I don't think Fireball are going to get this.
The Pulse Bomb hit the Winston barrier. That was perfect timing coming out from Shirazpan, just blocking out the one win condition that Fireball had. And I don't believe it. SunSister, XQQ with his Mei as well. They've taken out the first map against Fireball.
It's 2-2 actually.
Is it?
Yeah, it's 2-2. We'll Get back to that. It's
I'm
all right. It's all right.
getting-
Hong Kong attitude aren't here either. It's 2-2. We got one more map to go. We're still in this. We're still in this fireball. Ain't out of it just yet.
Maybe I'm just a big SunSister fan and I got ahead of myself.
Maybe
right?
you love friendship.
Look, maybe I like the May pick.
Well,
maybe I'm happy with it. Maybe
then
I like his
I'm going to
list.
say you don't like friendship. Well, here's the thing for Fireball is, I think they got a little bit freaked out. They panicked. They went into panic mode. They overcommitted onto that final push onto overtime. Not only that, Enzen and R personally got a bit frustrated. He changed up into the May himself. Should have kept his composure. They would have had a better time. Now XQQ going to start things off on the Soldier. This is a lot more standard, at least for Enzen and R. He can
actually live.
He can be happy he won't get sniped out immediately.
But a Denkin, he's found out. Oh my gosh. Not just a Denkin, but all of SunSister have picked up a kill here. This is a 100% clean kill. Okay,
Well,
not
Pudo-
100% anymore.
Pudo
does find a kill. So he does actually get half of his ultimate charge, which is pretty important for Fireball. But SunSister, across the board, have got a great lead here in ults. They're not close to them yet, so if Fireball do move into this next fight, then quickly, this is just going to be a repeat of the first fight, but with SunSister just already entrenched on the point, they still have a bit more of an advantage, but it's not ultimate advantage.
I mean, oh wow. Okay, so you don't even need an ice score. Helix Rock will do. XQQ has been the bane of Enzen and R. All Lijiang Tower and Fireball we need another reset. They might just try and get a trade here. Won't even be able to pick that up. This is going to feed additional ults in SunSister. We said before, you said specifically, SunSister are close to ults, but they don't have them yet. Now they definitely have the ultimates, and Fireball are absolutely behind it. They need to find an opening. I think Fireball, they look like a very well-composed team to start with, and now I'm not so sure anymore.
How many ults can SunSister commit to this? The Pulse Bomb doesn't connect with anything, but neither does NZ and Ours. They may have to use the tactical visor here, but Mullis, he's found Curlus, and now the rest of SunSister have found everyone else. Aputo's doing what he can, but he has to get out of there. It's too late to use the Dragon Blade, and now...
Well, he shouldn't have to start with.
No, of course not.
There was no way Fireball were realistically going to go into that one with a victory in sight, particularly against so many ultimates from SunSister. Now, you're sitting on the fight where Fireball may be able to get something done, but unfortunately, they didn't force enough ultimates out of SunSister, so this has been a super clean game from SunSister so far, and eventually Fireball going to have to make a move. Just wait out the tactical visor. This might be, it's got a little bit of patience here. One kill with one ult so far isn't great for SunSister, so although they're losing time on the cap, they need to find
We're at 85% though.
Exactly, but they need to be able to find a win, a fight where they can actually have a good chance to win, and that moment should be now.
Sound Barrier should be able to nullify most of Aputo's Dragon Blade. The self-destruct should zone them out to XQQ. He still finds these Helix rockets. It's on to 9th this time. NZNR, he's got to avoid them too, but he's trying to buy time for his team, but just gets headshot. He's been headshot all night, and it's going to be Night Owl this time. A SunSister really
Where
doing
was
it.
this earlier? Where was that transcendence from Kurlos when both Aputo and Enzen really needed it? Now they're struggling to get themselves back on here, getting a couple of picks in return, but not nearly enough picks. Is it going to be a 100-0 cleanup? Aputo and Enzen both get themselves back in, but not in time.
This time I don't believe it.
Now you can be excited about the map win.
This time I don't believe it. It's SunSister taking out Lijiang Tower.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I'll give you another shot. I'll pretend the first one didn't happen, and you can be excited one more time.
Okay, well, I'm excited, and all the Japanese fans at home should be excited as well.
This was a really big pickup for Enzen. I think this was in particular, and see, look, that kill should have been for Enzen. Anyway, that aside, like very small things aside, Fireball fell apart. I'm not gonna lie, they looked a lot more confident in the first 3 stages, and then the last 2, it was like, what happened?
Yeah,
Hello?
I mean, that was a 100-0. Control Center, almost a 100-0. It went into overtime before Fireball even managed to cap the point even once, and then one team fight later, they lost it. It seemed like they just started to get out-fragged. I mean...
Yes and no. The out-frag was the result, but the cause was that I think Fireball as a team, the actual team morale it looked like it kind of dropped. It looked like they weren't sure how to take objectives. They weren't sure how to approach situations, how to approach fights. They were unable to read situations quickly and determine the best possible answer to then get themselves back in the game. And that was the main difference. and the result of which was they got out-fragged.
AVRL are also a team that I've seen show a bit of emotion as well on stage, and it's not just like happiness when you're winning a game. They show that too. A lot of teams show that. But last time they played Detonator, the other Japanese team, where they'd already lost the control map, they went to a draw on Hanamura where they had to go to Golden Point. Thankfully, they won for them. But straight after that Hanamura draw, you could see all the emotion on their faces. Some of them had their hands in their heads. They weren't feeling good about that, and it seems like it's happening again. This is a similar situation. Control down, moving into hybrid, but at least they can look at SunSister's last performance on hybrid and say, we should have a better shot here.
And I think they should have won control. I think they were set up to win control. It was a 2-1. It should have been a 3-1. But what happened to NZNR? I think him in particular, something changed in his play behavior. It was like every time he got headshot by May, every time XQQ annihilated him, he just kind of sunk deeper and deeper into a pit until he couldn't climb back out of that one. So specifically for NZNR, great performances early on. We saw that highlight. We saw the play of the game. That's a game-winning play of the game. But later on, he fell off the radar. Just didn't see anything from him again. Whether he was getting picked out or not, whether he was getting headshot or not, even when he was alive, just didn't see him again.
At some point, you've got to realize, okay, look, this XQQ guy, he's pretty accurate with his headshots. I'm gonna need to stay away from him, or at the very least, just out of his lines of sight. And like that's pretty difficult when you're a tracer and you do have to get up in the deep into the enemy backline, where you are up close and personal, especially close to May. Those headshots are gonna be pretty easy to hit, but at some point you're realizing you're just getting nothing done. Nothing done at all when you're going into fights. Getting headshot every single time. Even when XQQ was on Soldier. Helix rockets, that's gonna take you out too.
I don't know. I don't know for NZNR. I think there's maybe the argument he could have gone for XQQ himself. Maybe he just gets the trades, because ultimately, if he just gets a single trade himself, regardless of whether he gets headshot or not, he takes down another player from SunSister. At least it's an even trade for both teams, and you don't go down with a disadvantage. You just turn the game into a 5v5. That's still manageable for Fireball. That's still a winnable situation, or a situation that at least they can turn around. But when you lose one of your main DPS right at the bat, a 6v5, it's tough. It's tough, and Fireball couldn't find a way to get back in. And as soon as the May walls came up, you could see they weren't sure how to break through. They weren't sure, how are we approaching this? Should we go on the flank? They tried to go on the flank. Yeah, well, I mean, SunSister were there waiting for them too. There was just no way Fireball were going to get out without casualties, and that was really affecting them. So, a very difficult stage for Fireball, where they just were unable to find the right answer.
It is a situation that a lot of teams, like, you don't feel like a lot of teams face, because May doesn't come out very often, but getting camped at that doorway happens quite a lot. There's a lot of Reinhardt compositions that will sit at the door, and it can be a similar story. No, you're not getting caught out by a wall in that situation, but there's still the threat of things like...
The wall should be technically easy to deal with.
Yeah, you go in, you bait it out, and then hopefully you're not caught out by it, and then there's a window where you can go in. That wall's not going to be effective at all, and May suddenly loses a lot of value unless you're headshotting the enemy tracer. But that aside, you should be able to have that window go in, start smashing them down, especially because they're not a Reinhardt composition. They're just a dive composition that has a May in it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. A shield, a May wall is objectively worse than 2000 HP Reinhardt shield. You also, Blizzard is a lot easier to play around than Earthshatter. I think Earthshatter, you have to specifically commit something, commit focus, commit your own shield, and commit a lot of dedication to actually be able to effectively dodge it. A May Blizzard, you don't have to really think about it. You know it exists. It'll come out, walk out of the line of sight, walk out of the radius of it. You're fine. It's a lot less game winning than in Earthshatter. I think, and again, even in a brawl situation, Reinhardt's damage output in a straight brawl with the cleave on the hammer as well is actually a lot. So, in all respects, the Reinhardt is a lot more difficult to deal with in that specific spawn capping situation. But I think Fireball got flustered.
You could see them trying to adapt to it. I mean, apart from the fact that NZNR swapping over onto the May, maybe even getting...
I got the answer.
What's the answer?
Why didn't... This is it. If NZNR was going to swap onto anything, do what Blank said they were doing, and go onto the Reaper, out DPS the wall, and then just straight up brawl them, because the Reaper would actually be quite effective. The Reaper doesn't get slowed down. The Reaper isn't affected by Mei slows or Blizzard, because you've always got the Wraith form to get you out of a tricky situation. So effectively, you can outduel a Mei at close range, because that's where Mei is gonna be dueling you. Assuming the long range icicle shots aren't going to be effective, because you're going to be right in the faces of the enemy team. And again, the slows don't affect you, and you can burst down the wall. If NZNR was going to change off Tracer, that should have been the change, and not into a counter Mei, which ended up not doing anything.
Yeah, it almost felt like he picked it just for the HP, so he wasn't one shot.
No, he picked. I think he picked it because he was frustrated enough that he wanted to just out Mei the other Mei, right? That's kind of the thing. I can see that, and I see that in when you're in a competitive game. I can totally see that when the other guy who's essentially playing your role is doing what you're doing better, and he's completely shutting you out. You want to give him a taste of his own medicine, which is what NZNR wanted to do. And now NZNR want to repeat the pain that Hong Kong Attitude dished out to SunSister on King's Row by picking it themselves.
And that's a very fair answer, right? I mean, SunSister looked quite lost, I've got to say, on King's Row. They were trying multiple different things on defense. I mean, we saw a shield-based composition when they were on the first point, and then...
At least Saputo's still smiling.
At least Saputo's still smiling. I don't think that guy ever not smiles. He's always enjoying himself. But he should enjoy himself on King's Row here. He should be looking for a win, because, like I said, you know, Streets phase wasn't even a thing against Hong Kong Attitude when SunSister were defending. There was just no contest at all. And then the only real defense actually came out at the third checkpoint, which we've always said is something that is just going to happen anyway.
That should be a given.
Even if you're getting stomped, you're not getting the chance to use your ultimates and spending them, so you can at least have them at the end for one big last-ditch team fight. And then also the respawn advantage. A final stand.
It's the best stand as well, because you got everything working for you on that defender side on the third checkpoint. But if SunSister can't even get past the first, I mean, if they can't even push past Cap 1, Fireball might not even have to think about Cap 2s and 3s.
Well, we'll have to see who's attacking first. It is Fireball's choice. They'll decide whether they're attacking first or not after seeing how...
I think Fireball should defend first.
Yeah, because it'll make it take less time, right?
Yeah, it'll take less time, but also you've already seen SunSister struggle on attack, so I mean, exploit what weaknesses you can get. And when you see a Mei, you shouldn't get frustrated about it. You should be really excited about that, because you're essentially going to get a free win. Because Hong Kong Attitude, I tell you what, Hong Kong Attitude were not affected by the Mei at all. In fact, wouldn't be surprised if they were very happy to see it.
Well, Fireball opt to defend first. They are running a dive composition. They're still sticking 9th on that Diva. SunSister, they're not running a soldier into this composition. They're running the dive as well, but the difference is going to be Mollis's.
I kind of like that because Odin couldn't find anything on the soldier realistically, so this might be better.
This is much better, I've got to say. It actually allows him to contest up in this high ground here. Look at this defense matrix straight up there. Look at this guy. He's getting nothing done. Maybe he's contesting the Diva. Adenkin does have to jump down, but that's so much time that he's not spent shooting the guys on the ground. He's just still contesting. And SunSister, they've been winning the fight on the ground.
And gets the fight in the air as well. Odin cleans up NZNR, and are SunSister going to do this? I mean, they struggled so hard against Hong Kong Attitude, and then suddenly, on the first attack, they just capped.
This is what I wanted to see from SunSister in the last series. Running a Denkin on that Diva, that guy gets good results, and you saw it right there. NZNR could do nothing. Now SunSister, they're pushing forward. I don't think they're going to be able to just deny Fireball positioning completely. They will fall back to the payload, but look at that. That's still a good result.
SunSister got so low there. In fact, Shearer's Pan got taken down, so I think SunSister got a little bit too keen to move themselves forwards, but Fireball's positioning here is really good. Fireball want to be able to take a fight right next to the bookshop. It's from a defender's position. This is the first holding point on the street phase.
Still picking up a kill. Still picking up a kill at the start of this fight. Means that SunSister, they've got to retreat. But with that first cap, going so well in their favor. In fact, no ultimates being used. It means this is the time where these ults are going to start being used. However, Fireball on the defense, they've got two good combos coming up. They've got Tactical Visor with Nano Boost or Dragon Blade with Nano Boost. That's enough to win a team fight on their own. And with the payload already at this archway, they've got the time.
Dragon Blade coming up from XQQ, no defensive ultimate, straight into attack visor, shuts down into the now. Gets Kurlos as well, that's now a triple, and it should allow SunSister to get an easy cap on through. Hello, do we have one more customer? Yes, we do. Come here, Rocket. Okay, or not Rocket, we'll Primal Rage away.
Yep, oh, he's going to try and buy some time on the payload. In fact,
I can respect that.
The payload's still moving, even though he's in the air. I can respect it. It is going to allow his team to come back in, but realistically, that's stopping the payload for about 10 seconds at best. Rocket just giving away a huge amount of hit points over to SunSister in terms of ult charge.
So here's the thing, it's about stopping the cart so that you can actually set up your next defense. So if you don't stop the cart, they will be able to push on and get the cart to a sort of position where you're going to have to go for a desperation defense. Now Fireball, because they committed too many members in today, they committed both Rocket and also, I believe, Ninth as well. So they lost two members, they allowed SunSister to then get a bit of a snowball going on. They lost further members, and this is then now going to be a cap. So what should have been a quick stall, then leading up to a proper hold from Fireball, turned into no hold from Fireball, and it will just be a cap.
Self-destruct used to just make sure no one's thinking about contesting this last checkpoint here. Mollis, he finds a pulse bomb kill and then a follow-up kill onto Rocket, and this is just going to keep the train rolling. In fact, they're moving right up to the spawn. XQQ does get taken out, getting a little bit too greedy here, but look at this. They're pushed so far forward that payload is still moving completely uncontested, and XQQ, by the time the next fight happens, he'll be back, ready to go, and with a Dragon Blade.
The card basically already. I think Nido will probably pop here. He indeed does. Timing is not absolutely awful, but he doesn't counter any ultimates either. It's just going to be for a bit of a tempo play just to keep the cart moving. XQQ needs a bit of healing on the Genji, not before Budo snipes him down, and now you wish he had the Transcendence on. Elu's getting really low as well. Expect him to be taken out here at any moment, and SunSister get pushed back.
Finally, Fireball find their feet on the ground, and they've still got these big ult combos here. They do find a kill onto Ninth, but he should be back in time. He can just fly up to the payload anyway. It doesn't really matter a huge amount, but Fireball with so many ults to work with. SunSister, they're going to have to go for some of these value pushes where they do buy out ults from Fireball. If they're going to use any of their own, they have to win the fight.
XQQ finds Kurlos to start things off. Support City, here comes another one for him as well. Selfix and Rocket come on, Fireball. No members left except for Ninth and Enzo. Now Kurlos finally gets the respawn. The good news is the cart hasn't moved, and that's just going to delay SunSister from making decent progress. But SunSister want to be able to hold the doors here for a moment, but don't forget Fireball, ult's coming online. Yeah,
the bad news is that SunSister get to push forward right up to these doors. They're going to go in for one final defense. They're definitely able to do it, and they've got a lot of ults. The Nano Visor combo does come out, but it's shut down. NZNR takes a pulse bomb to the face. SunSister with the sound barrier, a commanding presence on the payload itself, and one last defense. Lucio buying a few seconds, but SunSister get it all the way to the end of King's Row.
And what an unlikely first attack from SunSister. I mean, I did not expect that. I did not expect Fireball to roll over that quickly. Specifically not in the first cap.
Yep, that was quite unexpected. I mean, they didn't even have to pull out the signature May to do it. So SunSister, it turns out when they play pretty standard, they can get results. They can just win. They can go back to that 2-2-2, and we saw Odenkin's results straight from the start. And what he got out of that was completely shutting down NZNR, who had zero effect on that first defense. And in fact, he even lost the duel up there. He died. Odenkin did his job perfectly and by himself.
When it turns out that the answer to all your woes was right in front of you all along, you just needed to go back to something standard that you already know works. SunSister have been trying for so long to throw out all of these weird compositions, strange picks, and all of this kind of business, when realistically, just like Flash Wolves, the 2-2-2 was the answer all along. If they had just done this from the start, man, maybe we would have seen a different result for a lot of these games.
Big smiles on their face as well, and so they should be. I mean,
yeah, they won that pup.
Yeah, this is a great result. Let's not forget they won control.
With a blank face on XQQ. I don't know which team he supports.
This guy's a serious guy. Maybe he's feeling a little bit upset because his team said
He's
no Mei.
He's trialing for blank, so he's got the face ready to go.
Yep. Do blank need a Mei player?
Oh, I mean, if he wears just a white shirt without the sponsors and the logos, and it's just a plain white shirt, got a blank face, he's ready to go. That's the prerequisite.
That's it. Cool. Well,
that's what you need. That's what you need.
Maybe I'll look to join blank next.
Yeah,
but
take notes.
We're gonna have a big greeting by Soldier 76 as we go into the second round of King's Row here. Fireball on the attack. Can they do it as effective as SunSister, who have also opted for XQQ up on that high ground? A Soldier, not a cheeky Mei, but this is an aggressive defense here. No one's touching XQQ.
Yep, well, Knight loses his mech to the other Diva as well, so Odinkin, you're right, Odinkin's definitely able to do some work in the initial push out from Fireball. Does look like it gets shut down. This is going to take a little, it slows Fireball down a little bit, but it's not disastrous. Only 3 deaths. They didn't get fully team wiped. They didn't feed too many ults onto the other side, and they will get another opportunity. They didn't lose too much time either. Fireball do recover within a decent time frame.
It's a pretty good retreat. I've got to say, like, it could have gone so much worse.
Absolutely.
Now, do they contest XQQ up on the high ground once more? They are. They're all sprinting up for it, but we saw how fast SunSister reacted to it last time. They're trying to get the positioning here, but Odinkin is all over them. He's trying to find this kill, but he will lose his mech. But also, Knight has already lost his, and in fact lost his life, but kills are being traded back. Fireball are getting them in. It's a Pudo up in position. He's up on the high ground. They need to contest him. He's the defender now, and SunSister are losing their lives, and now the cap should surely start to come through for Fireball. Were the deaths early enough for SunSister to come back in for a final defense, though?
I think this should be a cap out for Fireball, and it's going to be Shure's Pan trying to just stall things out like he usually does, but we've got ultimates online for Fireball, but SunSister get them up first, starting with XQQ, immediately takes on a Pudo who had the tag visor himself. Could SunSister still hold on to this?
I mean, they're absolutely trying to. Like I said, those deaths were pretty early, but the mech going out, they do pick up 1 kill here and there, but remember, Fireball just need to get even trades because they've got a much closer respawn. And like you said, a Pudo is back because his respawn is so close. But Shure's he's also returned, dropping the shield down. They've got a few members on the point, but this is just buying time for SunSister right now and handing over ultimate charge. And also, I'm predicting some positioning to Fireball during the Streets phase.
Luckily, time is a pretty valuable resource when what Fireball realistically need to be going here is a good time bank result. 5 ultimates is definitely going to work into their favor. Good positioning for Fireball as well, just making sure SunSister don't get a good foothold on the second Streets phase. Remember, Fireball barely had a Streets phase of their own, and if they want to compete with SunSister's time bank, they need to make sure SunSister don't have a very relevant Streets phase either.
Well, SunSister, when they come back in for the defense, they can buy a lot of time. They've got Transcendence. No, they don't. They've lost their Zenyatta. Elu does still have a sound barrier, though. That can buy them time, but if that pulse bomb connects, it did, but it didn't do a huge amount of damage. SunSister, they're trying their best, but with only 5 members, they can't even win this fight. The payload's being contested, though. They are buying some time there. The self-destruct finds no one at all, and they're finding a trade-back kill. But look at how far back Caputo's been pushed. How is he going to have an effect on this fight if he can't shoot anyone but a giant monkey? Now he's still on the low ground, but the tactical visor comes out, but inside the barrier, but he does take down the Winston. That's not going to be enough. He finds not another kill, and SunSister, have they mounted a defense?
And that barrier was so important for locking out at Pudo. I mean, unfortunate. It's just a real heartbreaker seeing him shoot into that barrier. It's like, can this barrier just leave already? He really wanted to get the kill onto Mollis, gets traded back instead. The SunSister, they have successfully mounted a second phase defense. The Fireball, they're already reasonably far behind. I think if they weren't going to get a quick time on Streets, I don't think they're going to get a good time back time at all.
No, but here's the ultimates coming back out of SunSister, the tactical visor. It gets 1 kill, but it's straight into the defensive matrix, but Kurlas is the next victim. That's already 2 kills, and surely enough for SunSister to be happy with this result, but they want more. They want to buy more time chasing these defenders as they're trying desperately to get back to their squad.
Nice shot into Incident R.
That is going to be a lot of time for it.
That's 4, maybe even 5 kills for XQQ in a row. Like, why does this guy not play Soldier more often? What is even the reason to be playing Mei when you can do so well on the Soldier? I mean, he's absolutely putting up a performance on Soldier so far, and for Fireball, they're again, they need to focus this guy down. They're finally able to find XQQ. That's going to be the start of their push. It's going to be the start of something maybe special for Fireball, but they need to be able to keep the momentum going, convert further, kill, self-destruct. Needed to find a little bit more there, but we'll give Fireball a little bit of space to work with. Gets a kill into Shura's Pan as well, still saving the tag visor. Hopefully, Apudo will be able to save it all the way to get the cap. It does look like it will be the case.
SunSister's best hope here would have been to bait out that tactical visor and even the Anubis, but it looks like Fireball, they're winning this fight well enough to not even need it. And like you said, it's great that they can hold on to it. A clean win there. SunSister just losing one member at the start would have been enough, but Apudo, this is cheeky. Anyone wants to come for a last-second defense? Well, meet my tactical visor.
Yeah, I don't know if he's truly hidden there, but we'll find out pretty soon, as it's going to be SunSister. I believe they will mount the final hold. They should absolutely go for it. A couple of ultimates to commit the sound barrier. Definitely. There it is. Tac Visor comes out. It's going to be the Nano Boost to follow straight into a Matrix. But will he find anything? I don't think so. Gets Elu right at the end with the Helix Rocket. But essentially, the rest of the ult wasn't super effective. Fireball will get enough kills that they should have an advantage here. Mech goes down for SunSister as well. The only trade onto Incident, and unsurprisingly from XQQ, but it might just be a small gesture.
They're still buying a lot of time. They bought out a Nano Boost tactical visor combo, a kill here and there. They're still contesting, and they do have the closer respawn. Every kill now and then is actually very good for SunSister to try and mount a defense, but eventually they do take it out. Fireball taking the forward positioning, and that fight went for so long, Apudo almost has tactical visor again.
Well, let's hope he can get a little bit more out of this one. XQQ's had enough of playing Soldier. He's saying, doesn't matter that I got a 4-kill earlier on. Watch what I can do with these icicles. We will be watching indeed. We'll see if he can land them on Incident in particular, because somehow he just does it. I don't know what it is, but he just does it.
Taking the early fight onto the payload itself, and there's the wall saying, hello, I've picked Mei, look out NZNR, but Mollis on the Tracer himself finds a pulse bomb onto Apudo. This should be enough for SunSister to start pushing forward, catch out anyone found out of position by that wall, and it's actually Rocket who throws out the Primal Rage, jumping onto the point, and really, he doesn't really find too much, but NZNR does turn it around. The Transcendence is actually forced out from Night Owl. SunSister throwing out ultimates into this fight, and now it's Fireball with the respawn advantage coming back in and picking up 3 kills.
Picking up 3 kills, and that save tactical visor from Apudo now coming into play as well. Yeah, XQQ, this is kind of cute, but you will absolutely not be alive after that. A full team with the Sound Barrier and Nano Boost still left to play, holding the doors. Now SunSister getting desperate.
But
if XQQ goes onto Widow, there's no way they'll hold.
I hope for his sake that he doesn't go into Widow, because he can buy so much time. 30 seconds are left for Fireball to push, and 2 kills from SunSister should be enough to mount a defense here. There's nothing that Fireball can do. There's no way they're going to get it to the end of the payload. They have to back off, but they don't have time. Apudo actually kills himself.
That's a suicide. That's a planned suicide.
Yes, of course, but 15 seconds to go. Do they even have time to run back to the payload?
Yeah.
I don't think they do.
It's time needed for Fireball to regather their players, unfortunately directly into a blizzard. And only 2 seconds, the card is still so far away. I don't think anyone's going to be able to touch it. SunSister up 2-0. Wow, this is happening.
This is actually happening, and again, we saw the Mei come out on the 3rd checkpoint, but at that point, let's not forget, Fireball were down quite a lot of time. Even if they did get it all the way to the end, they still would have had less time bank than SunSister as well. So the Mei buys a lot of time. I mean, probably better to bring it out right at the very end, but at the same time, if you're taking long team fights on the payload itself, then you can still finally mount that last defense, and it's still very hard to get it all the way to the very end, which is what we had to see come out of Fireball.
And I think as well, timing-wise, they were close enough to the overtime itself that it ended up being like a stalled option for SunSister anyway. And the final blizzard as well was just enough to stall out the area where Fireball were coming from to prevent them from getting to cart. Now, because we were so close to overtime and the cart distance was where it was, it's far enough that Fireball can just take it and win, but it's also far enough that if it's in overtime, you can't even touch the card in time. So SunSister were calculated in the sense that they knew where to take the fight right at the end to make sure they were forcing Fireball's hand. And I think Fireball, well, I mean, they lost that one hand over fist.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I mean, at that point though, even when they were going into the third checkpoint with that little time to go, and they did make it all the way to the end, they would have had most likely been in overtime, which means they don't get to mount a second defense, a second attack on time bank. And even if they did get it with some time left, they would have had just over a minute to get a better cap, a better result than SunSister during their time bank, where they had, what was it, 3.5 minutes or so, where we saw how quickly they took the first point in the first round. And even then, if they forced overtime onto Fireball, they would have only had to take 33% of the first point. So they were setting themselves up for a fantastic position. But it all comes off the back of that first point defense, and then that street space defense.
The streets was a real tricky one as well, because Fireball actually had the opportunity to get a proper hold there, but it kind of just, it fell short. It fell really short, and they even punished overextension from SunSister, which is really good. They punished it. They got the kills, which then gave them the hold that they needed anyway. But off the top of that, they kind of just got rolled over again, and that just shouldn't be happening for Fireball. I mean, they had to wait all the way down to the third checkpoint, which again, that's where you need to be mounting a hold. But for Fireball's attack, because they struggled to cap the first point in time, they struggled to cap the second point in time. By the time they got to the third, overtime. And we said as well, if you want to be able to match SunSister's time, Fireball had to be able to push through streets easily. And that was not easy.
And it's all the little things as well, like seeing Shirazpan jump straight onto the payload at the start of the streets phase. Well, I mean, start position-wise, it was still about halfway through it. They'd lost the fight. He jumps onto the payload, actually uses Primal Rage. That's a fair commitment just to buy a few more seconds, but look at the result. Look at what it got at the end, where they were being forced with the position of overtime at the best, and flat out lost at that point because they used so much time. It's the little things like that that add up and make it so that Fireball just had barely anything to work with once they finally made it to the third checkpoint.
I think Fireball are at the stage now where they are slowly but surely definitely plummeting. I think where they started today, where they even started earlier this week, this has been the weakest Fireball I think I've ever seen throughout the entire tournament. I think for Fireball, their peak was a couple weeks ago, in fact at the start when they beat Machi, and now I don't know. I don't know if this is SunSister now getting much better or if it's Fireball going downwards. I'm thinking it's a bit of both, because I am seeing a bit of rigor from SunSister now. As soon as SunSister smelled the victory, they're saying, hey, we can actually win this. This is really a winnable game for us. You see them turn on the heat. You see them get a bit more serious and light a fire beneath them, if it were. And for Fireball, the direct opposite is happening.
It's also SunSister just going back to something that works. Remember, this is the first time we're seeing them up against Fireball with XQQ on the team. They were throwing out these fun things against Hong Kong Attitude, like Mei and, well, I think Mei was the big one. Really. The Widowmaker was the other fun one.
I mean, you say fun, but it's no fun when Hong Kong Attitude essentially still end up sweeping you pretty hard.
Exactly right, but they're not doing that against Fireball. So this is the same composition, the same setup that they're running as they were in the first round against Fireball, but the difference is they've got XQQ this time. But I'm not just going to harp on about XQQ either. Odenkin and even Shirazpan, to a point, both played fantastically at shutting down Apudo on that soldier. Defense Matrix, great at shutting him down on that first attack, but then also remember that tactical visor on the street space for Fireball's attack. There's a great big Winston barrier around him for that. Shut down completely.
Yeah, and it is now 2 maps out of the way for SunSister, and we're going to be going to Assault after this, which I believe is going to be SunSister's pick. Now, SunSister, they couldn't take it against Hong Kong Attitude on Assault, but they are 2 up against Zero Fireball, not looking good. SunSister are starting to look insanely good. After this break, we'll find out what map it will be on Assault, and if SunSister can take it out 3-0, or will Fireball bring it back. Thank you for sticking with us as we get into map 3 of SunSister versus Fireball. I'm AVRL, with me is Smite, as we get ready to see who's going to take out match 2. And of course, if you're just joining us, we are on week 5 of the Overwatch Pacific Championship English broadcast. Still into match 2, it's still alive, but it's Fireball holding on for dear life.
The flame is fizzling, I've got to say. I mean, SunSister have never been 2-0 up, not even against Detonator, where the maps were going back and forth. This is the strongest position we've ever seen SunSister in. And I said it at the top of the night. Apart from Detonator, Fireball is the most likely team that SunSister can take a win off. Now we're moving into map 3. It's Temple of Anubis, and this is SunSister's pick. This is what they picked up against Hong Kong Attitude. It didn't go too well. I don't think they even got the first point.
It didn't, but neither did Kings Row, and we saw the results of that as well. So obviously, SunSister knows something that we don't. They know there's something about Temple Anubis that they really want to play. They've obviously got a strat for it. It wasn't a big fan of how they approached it against Hong Kong Attitude, but Fireball, a completely different team.
Yeah, I've got to agree there. Fireball, very likely to run the dive. In fact, I feel like they're almost locked into it because of how Rocket is so focused on playing that Winston that they have to play around that composition. Now, that's a composition that can work fine on defense for Temple of Anubis. You know, plenty of levels of elevation, plenty of opportunities to dive enemy heroes, especially when the enemy team is very likely to run a Widowmaker. XQQ, I'm not going to be surprised if he throws out a Widowmaker on the attack here. On defense, he threw it out at the last second on the second point. Don't expect that again, because he didn't do it on Kings Row. A different situation.
I'm kind of expecting it again, but I don't want to. I don't want to see it. But now on the attack, even when he pulled out on the attack, kind of varied results. Like not super effective, not completely ineffective, but I wouldn't say it was worth it.
Not the results of XQQ himself, though. Like, he very likely hitting shots. There was one section where he had plenty of opportunity, didn't actually land any headshots. But apart from that, it's usually, like you said during the match itself, it felt like SunSister were waiting for XQQ to make the picks when they need to be bullying out the defending team so that they're out of position, or even better, they're on the point where XQQ can say, look, I see you, I'm ready to headshot you, and now swing the fight in my team's favor. That's how you run a dive composition with a Widowmaker sprinkled on top. So if SunSister can play that way on attack this time, there's no reason why Widowmaker can't work perfectly into the first point, at least.
Yeah, and it should do. It should do. We've seen it work for other teams. We've seen EDUP pull out for Blank, and it has been effective. That being said, EDUP is a fantastic Widowmaker player. But so far, you are right, and we have discussed this already. It's poorly executed from SunSister. Compositionally, it's not a problem. It's an execution error, and that's what they need to be able to fix up. Even defensively, though, Hong Kong Attitude pushed on through and just capped it out.
Yeah, I think it was about the fastest cap we've seen on Temple of Anubis so far.
No,
no.
What was the time?
It was over 6 minutes.
Because Blank have gotten one over 6 minutes already. Fireball have had 550, not Fireball. AHQ have had 550, I think. I mean, so it would be close. It would be close to one of the. Regardless,
it's a ridiculous time
it's in my top 3.
to have on time bank. It's literally more time than you have on the first push, right? I mean, you don't get the time back when you cap the first point, but at the same time, it's still more time than you have on the first cap. Very likely to get you another cap on the first point. So if we see SunSister pull out a defense like that again, then I think it's going to be a similar story. They've got to play this dive composition just a little bit more aggressively, recognize how enemy teams are dealing with them on defense. They're pushing up through that high ground, contesting them off of it, and suddenly they're the ones on the ground, and they're not finding the picks that they need.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for Fireball as well, we've talked a lot about SunSister, but for Fireball, it's difficult. They're in a bad spot. I think they're in a bad spot mentally. I think as a team and as players, they're still great. They're still absolutely fine, but team morale is now starting to become an issue. You're 2 down against SunSister. You weren't expected to be in this place. I don't think we expected them to be in this place. I don't think SunSister realistically expected to go this well for them, because you did see a change up in the pace of their gameplay. I think on Kings Row specifically, when SunSister started winning, when they realized they were starting to win, they pushed it into another gear that I haven't seen from SunSister. And again, conversely for Fireball, they sort of went down a couple of gears, and now they're just trying to start up again. They're just in the moments where they need to just keep the engine running before you rev it back up.
Let's not forget as well, this is the only team from Thailand in the tournament. I mean, the only other team in a situation similar to that would be Blank, only team from their own region. So Fireball, they've got a lot of weight on their shoulders. They've got a lot of fans who are really wanting them to pull out some good results. And, you know, they ended up the first week sitting in at 5th place. Not the most fantastic, but teams can get behind that. Now they're threatening to have a loss against the team that is 2nd last.
Let's take a look at exactly who will be the one taking loss and who won't be. Fireball attacking first, SunSister opting for the defense. No crazy widows or Mays. It is absolutely 100% standard SunSister gameplay coming out now, which is exactly what they need to be able to win this. A Fireball straight into a trap. Wow.
Well, I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about that. 3 kills off the bat, that's just going to set SunSister nice and well ahead. If there's any kind of solace for Fireball to take, it's that, well, they died so quickly, and actually it's Night Owl that got most of the ultimate charge from that. So they can go into another fight, and ultimates won't be a factor if it's quick enough.
That was ridiculous. I don't think Fireball were prepared whatsoever. They sort of walked onto the right side, and hello, here's all of SunSister waiting for you to meet. Gonna try it again. Fireball this time a little bit more prepared. Gonna look for a couple of damage on the
so
backside,
low.
but yeah, right, he is so low and he does go down. And the same story repeats itself. SunSister find Fireball exactly where they wanted it.
I mean,
and they pick up all the kills.
Fireball have got to mix it up, or at least expect SunSister to know exactly what they're doing. They're just constantly in position, and they can't have the same advantage that I mentioned before. SunSister are now coming up to their own ultimates. It's going to be Dragon Blade for XQQ. This guy is going to be able to get into position, and especially if Fireball take the exact same route, then that's prime target for XQQ with the Dragon Blade. They may even get time to combo with the Nano Boost.
Well, they are going to move around a different angle now. XQQ slightly low. We'll get a health take before he decides to Dragon Blade. I'd like to see what Fireball going to respond with the Dragon Blade of their own. It's going to be Genji on Genji action, and Abuno goes down so quickly, getting no results of his own. The rest of his teammates took the trades, and still 3 versus 3. The Dragon Blade ends for XQQ as he's now having to battle against Rocket. 35 HP does manage to back off, and the reinforcements will now decide who will get the cat.
But the reinforcements are definitely closer for one of these teams, and that's Fireball on the attack. They're getting their numbers back here. SunSister, did they recognize what's going on? Did they give up the point and prevent the snowball? Or did they come in, try and buy time like they did on King's Row, try and contest this point for a little bit longer?
Contest so far they will, but realistically it's just Shearer's Pan. No one else is really there. Apura gets the counter kill onto XQQ, a little bit of revenge play for him. And it is just stalling out. I don't think SunSister can realistically hold on to this one, not without getting good counter trades, and now counter trades don't even exist for them.
I mean, their best hope would have been to get a pulse bomb there as NZNR arrived back to the... sorry, not NZNR, no, XQQ headshot onto NZNR would have been good, but this is just a cleanup now for Fireball, and because that fight went on for so long, yeah, SunSister bought a fair amount of time. There's only 5 minutes for Fireball to attack the second point, but take a look at all those tick marks. Fireball are rocking up to point number 2 with a Pulse Bomb, a Nano Boost, a Sound Barrier to keep everyone alive. All they want to do is buy a little bit of time for Apudo to get that Dragon Blade. But that pick at the start, Pulse Bomb, Mollis may have bought his team a little bit of time.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say the team that actually buy themselves time is going to be SunSister, and they needed to be able to set up defenses. They have made a couple of switch-ups. In fact, just the main switch-up being XQQ, kind of expected here as well. This is going to also delay Fireball's push, even when they actually make it. But Fireball should be set up to win. They have, like you said, all ultimates, basically, except for 9th, ready to go. I don't see them in a position where they're not heavily favored, and they do traverse over the wall quite effectively. Dragon Blade now for Apudo, looking for his first target onto Elo, does pick that one up, and players on the SunSister side are not getting enough trades back whatsoever. XQQ even got the cryo freeze out. He's going to live for a bit, but he will go down.
Mollis did take out Kurlos though, which takes the Nano Boost out of the fight, and to SunSister's credit, they've been contesting that point for a very long time. They've now got respawns coming in, and Kurlos, it's an Ana, doesn't have any movement abilities. It's going to take a long time to get back to the point, but when he does, Nano Boost is going to be on the table.
Nano Boost on the table, but why? Wow, Shearer's Pan did not commit onto the point.
He did it again.
And the second time in one evening.
Jumps straight over the point, just ignores it.
That would have been a long contest too, because he's a nano boosted Winston. 750 effective health points, but not even where he needed to be. He just needed to sit on the cap, not let it go through. The rest of the respawners from SunSister would have been flooding back in, and that could have been a hold, but wow.
Well, Fireball.
Hindsight.
If there's a time for them to come back, Apudo looks happy with that result.
I mean, he should be, because effectively they got it in one cap. They did what Hong Kong Attitude realistically did, not as clean as Hong Kong Attitude did, but they got it. They got there in the end off the back of, I would say, a mistake from Shiris Pan individually.
Well,
But
I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
SunSister had a good attack on Kings Row, and I believe they should have a good attack here as well.
well, they also had a pretty terrible attack against Hong Kong Attitude entirely, but that said, this is a different team. This is Fireball, and do we see XQQ running onto the Widowmaker? I'm going to say yes, simply because we're still seeing him fall back onto that Mei, especially on the second point. So Widowmaker definitely on the table. It's going to be all about how they play the composition this time, though, because like you said earlier, it's not the composition that's the issue. We've seen plenty of teams make it work before. It's how you harass the defending team out of those cubby holes that they're always hiding in and get them into the sight lines of XQQ. This guy's accurate. He hits headshots on Mei. That's a projectile. So surely XQQ can find these headshots on that Widowmaker.
Speaking of headshot, there's one right there of one of the Anubis guards. So we head into the attack now, this time for SunSister. I think XQQ is going to just do a bit of a spot with the Hanzo arrow
He's still in the spawn, so yeah, surely he's just changing.
before he jumps onto what we believe is likely to be Widowmaker. It's going to be the Genji you said, so a safe pick. And I kind of agree with this because SunSister, although they know they have the Widow pick in their pocket, they don't execute on it quite well. They execute on this composition far better.
The big thing as well is that Adenkin is still on that Diva. NZNR is up for Soldier, which means Adenkin can shut down a lot of ultimates. In fact, they're all diving up onto the high ground here. NZNR is in trouble. He's dropping low, but he does have his biotic field. If he can get to the health pack, he should be fine. So trades back and forth, but Fireball coming out slightly ahead, taking out XQQ is going to be the big kill potential for SunSister, who realistically need to back off now.
Fireball, they hold out on the very first defense. It's not as brutal as what SunSister did to them on their first defense, but I mean, it is comfort for Fireball so far. They didn't really lose members. They didn't have to wait too long for respawns to get in here, but it's a very spread out defense and a very spread out attack as well. Fireball have to work out very carefully exactly which angle SunSister want to be able to take and protect NZNR if they can.
And doing that, they are just in trouble. NZNR is always being dived upon this time. And Apudo, he does find a kill onto Night Owl. This should shut down the offense coming up from SunSister. They get a trade kill, but you're right, the Dragon Blade, it's finding some value. And yes, Fireball committing resources to a defense, but they realistically only have to win about 3 more fights, and they may even be able to first hold here. They've still got plenty of ults ready to go in a moment's notice.
And I think, you know, even if a good time will suffice, a hold would be perfect, but realistically, if they can just get a very good time here, they would be able to compete effectively in the time back. But, you know, SunSister, they don't want to have to go to that. They want it, well, actually, the Fireball don't really want to have to go to that. XQQ is going to need a little bit more out of this Dragon Blade. Not going to get enough in. I don't think SunSister have nearly enough picks to actually secure themselves a cap here. And Fireball, it does appear they will be able to hold it. Excuse the technical issues, actually. They're trying to get back into the game. Here it is, the game will continue indeed as Tac Visor from NZNR does also get shut down.
Yeah, it just completely blocked there, and that's the biggest value tool that they needed to hold the point here. They are still contesting, similar to how SunSister defended, but the difference is they've got a realistic chance at actually defending the point here. They're getting the trades back, and that's what the defenders need. But every kill SunSister gets is a very long respawn, and that's 3 in a row. An angry monkey pushing everyone else away from the point, so they are getting progress now with one person still on the point, but that's a nano boosted Genji onto the point, but they get shut down. That's 2 ultimates that they could have had on the defense that now SunSister should be able to leverage. But hey, they used a lot of ults of their own.
Yeah, I want a nano boost for myself when I can get one. I do think there was an overcommitment from Apudo. Good news for him is, looks like he wanted to change onto Hog anyway, and haven't seen a Hog from Apudo in a while, but make no mistake, it is a bit of a trend and it will work quite well against the dive from SunSister. I feel like it is a hard counter, a choice from Apudo, so I'm expecting big things here.
Yeah, also Rocket opting off of that Winston into a very shield-based composition here. They're looking for picks with that hook as well. Apudo needs to find them. He's pretty fantastic at it himself, but Mollis is in basically a great position, not being caught out here. Pudo somehow gets out as well. He's building up to that Dragon Blade. SunSister, they probably won't be able to get a complete cap here. They want to save ultimates, they just need to bait out a few of their own.
And that's going to cost Pudo's life as well. And this is SunSister just slowly chipping away at Fireball, and I think Fireball are roughly doing the same thing. And now
They're
the full committal. It's going to be Dragon Blade onto Nano Visor, and so far neither of these two ults are getting anything done, just as Inzidana picks up the final few kills.
Pudo is still hiding in that back room. He's finally come back because he's realized he probably needs to respawn eventually, but I feel like SunSister, they saw blood, they thought they could get a win there. They got one pick, and suddenly they thought they could win with the Dragon Blade, but, well, we saw what happened. NZNR was there with the Tactical Visor, the Nano Visor, in fact. So even trades, actually, and that's okay for Fireball, being the defending team who know that SunSister need a complete wipe to take out the point here.
I hereby decree the fort of Pachimari is Pudo as he sprays the logo onto the back of Anubis Cap 2, and SunSister going to need to flatten out this defense with preferably the ultimate advantage. The XQQ going to be jumping onto a soldier instead. Doesn't quite have the snowball potential that a Genji does, but I think he may find a slightly better result as he's not been getting too much onto that Genji.
If they can
look like the engagement.
If they can get XQQ into a position where he can just stay safe the entire time during this fight, then that's great for when the respawners come in. They've already picked up one kill, and that's Rocket. There's no shields left for them, and they don't have many ultimates left. Pudo's going to get great value out of this whole hog, but surely, what can he get? It's going to be Rocket. He needs to come back in and get the biggest earth shatter of his life.
Well, he absolutely needs to come in. I don't think he hit the Earth Shatter at all. And Transcendence now from Night Owl just might be what SunSister need to secure. It will be, and Time Bank is the result. I don't think SunSister have nearly as good of a time as Fireball do on the Time Bank. However, I don't know if it'll also make as much of a difference, because realistically, both teams eventually got there in the end. Fireball got there definitely quicker, but it was a struggle nonetheless, I think, for both. Particularly on the first cap. Don't forget, Fireball really fell short. Falling short would be a bit of an understatement. They really hit up against a brick wall for the first two pushes.
But also,
time again.
Remember how SunSister tried to defend when they were starting to fall behind. They were throwing bodies at the point.
Fireball did that too, to be fair. I think both teams realistically just made mistakes.
That's true, but Fireball have more time, and I think they realistically have enough time to cap both of these points, especially if SunSister do what they did during that first defense. If they hand over ult charge for effectively buying a few more seconds onto the game itself, then that's just going to be the same result that we saw in the second point for Fireball. They capped it almost immediately because they had absolutely everything going for them. Also, Shrazpan should probably stay on the point during overtime.
That would probably help. However, right at the end there, it seemed like Fireball just failed to get members of themselves onto the point as well. It's going to be 2 minutes and 40 seconds against 3 minutes and 59 seconds, if I'm reading that correctly.
Still a pretty good advantage for Fireball right now.
Oh, look, Widow.
Oh, where have we seen this before? XQQ, I mean, this, if it works, will pretty much secure them the point very, very quickly, but it doesn't allow them as much of a snowball advantage. Now, this is where SunSister need to flush out the defenders. Go and force that soldier out of that high ground. You've got plenty of heroes to do it. Diva, Winston, make him run down, make him jump off, and then suddenly, that's XQQ's time to get that headshot.
I think XQQ is going to go around that left side. He's right up there. He actually gets challenged. This is really nice. This is exactly what I want to see out of Fireball. Don't just let XQQ set up in a position where he does get an angle on you and actively pressure him out. However, Fireball need to find a better result, because a challenge is a challenge, but they didn't end up getting any kills out of that. And slowly but surely, SunSister are forcing positioning out of Fireball.
The difference is once Fireball start getting to their ultimates, one of their ultimates isn't the non-impactful infrasight, but they're also picking up kills of their own. That's all they need.
NZNR with the double, turns it into a triple, gets a mech as well for his troubles, and that will stop SunSister. Don't forget, we're sitting at 126 now, and it is still Time Bank, and the possibility for SunSister to actually not get a first cap
and that was
very real.
And that was the best result for Fireball as well. They didn't commit any ultimates to that. They've now got the Nano Visor combo just to win a fight flat out. And Denkin has to get the most value.
Amazing what you can do with just your own aim.
I know, right? I mean, just You know, you shake a screen all around you want, the Anubis will kill absolutely everyone, but only if a Denken is not up in your face, holding the defense matrix up. Where is he? He needs to be there. There he is. He blocks it all, but he's getting pushed around. He eventually is going to die, but there's the Transcendence to keep the rest of SunSister alive. They get a pulse bomb kill. XQQ's in position to get kills of his own. That's already a double trade over to SunSister. They've got the advantage here. Self-destruct finds nothing, and this is a clean fight for SunSister.
And it will be a pick up on the cap as well. Apudo should not even attempt to come back in this. If he does, it will just be feeding additional ults, but Apudo getting sniped out from XQQ right at the start of the fight, as well as a failed tech nano visor from NZNR means, well, that's going to be a camp for SunSister, and SunSister, if they can, will try and snowball their way onto the second cap with only 45 seconds, no time to change their lineup. You just got to go.
Sound barrier already, and they're not even on the point yet. That's a very preemptive one, and Apudo is going to be waiting it out.
Exactly.
He's got Dragon Blade ready to go. He can actually clean this up right now, but they've already got 2 kills. SunSister, sorry, that's only a mech, but there's a double kill, and that's actually Apudo who's got the Dragon Blade. There's a monkey asleep outside your front door, but it doesn't matter. They've got so many members on the point. They're just going to start picking them out, and XQQ is going to be uncontested. He can just get headshots as they come in for the respawn. This is where Widowmaker can work on the second point offense. Apudo, though, he's going to respawn. He's going to come in with that Dragon Blade, and here it comes. He needs to get value out of it and not get headshot.
He's actually, Apudo tried to go for XQQ there, which I think is a total mistake. He needs to be able to clean up the members on the point itself, and now who is actually cleaning up members, Mollis is still on top of there. Night Owl's getting kills himself as well, and Fireball is suddenly found in a position where they're absolutely stuck. A final headshot onto Zelfix might just be what SunSister need to secure this one in there, and a double kill from Odin Kun sets the pace of the game. They will cap out, and they almost did not get that. And now suddenly, we got a game, because Fireball, all the time that they had to work with, all the time that they built up in that time bank, well,
they need to use it now.
You still got to get the full cap in there, and if last time one of the key factors for you getting the full cap out was because Shirazpan decided to not contest the cap, I don't know if you can rely on that happening again.
They may have, I mean, even though Shirazpan did mess up a little bit, that was still Fireball in control of that fight. So it still could have gone either way. Yeah, SunSister could have mounted a defense, but Fireball still in control there. SunSister, though, one final defense here. They're not going to get that cheesy triple kill right at the start of their first defense. Surely Fireball going to realize that that's a possibility once more. SunSister just need to play standard. They just need to be playing the way they've been playing every single defense so far. A Denken on Diva. Keep that going. Shirazpan on Winston as well. They've been doing a fantastic job of shutting down the DPS of Fireball.
And if history repeats itself as well, Fireball are going to have a hard time opening their way onto the first cap of Anubis, because SunSister had a pretty decent hold to start things out on. And it wasn't until later on that Fireball really picked up the pace. Now Fireball, they do have a decent amount of time to work with. 3 minutes and 59 to start things off with, and it's basically the same amount of time you would have to work with had you just restarted the game on attack anyway. It's very respectable.
Well, we'll see if they can make it work. It's all about this first fight, gaining the momentum, seeing if you can get those ultimate charges up. They're contesting up on the high ground. This is good, but it's only Apudo, and Deflect only lasts for so long. Mollis also finds a kill, but it's just a trade as he loses his life. NZNR finds XQQ. This is a numbers advantage for Fireball, and they've got the closer respawn. They'll get the reinforcements soon. Rocket needs to get healed here, and he should be able to do that. He just jumps away, but he's going to be out of the fight. That's someone who is, for all intents and purposes, just on a short death timer now. And Fireball, they're backing out. They're not contesting the point. They did get half of it capped here. NZNR, he's trying to find some cheeky kills here, but this looks like a Fireball reset.
On Fireball, NZNR actually gets himself in a decent spot for the recontest anyway. For Fireball, they had a great start. They had the early pickouts. NZNR did his job. The rest of Fireball couldn't clean up the mess. So, SunSister, eventually they're going to get ultimates online, and this is when it gets difficult for Fireball, because Fireball, just like the first time they attacked, struggling on the initial offense, struggling on the initial ultimates attack.
Pulse Bomb whiffs for NZNR, doesn't find a kill with it. That was one of their big resources, but he does find Night Owl anyway, and then a follow-up kill onto Mollis. This might be enough for Fireball to win here. They still do need more. Apudo's coming up to his Dragon Blade. They've traded back onto Rocket, who's a big asset here. They also find a mech kill, but this is Apudo, sorry, XQQ. He's on the defense here. He's finding kills left, right, and center. He's defending it for his team. He's doing it for Fireball, and only 2 minutes to go. A big A big defense there from SunSister. One Dragon Blade committed, but Fireball, they've got one saved up in the bank.
To be honest, Fireball have been doing a decent amount of work without the ultimates just yet. I mean, ins and out, he missed the pulse bomb, but he manages to secure the kill onto Night Owl anyway. Apudo finds a kill onto XQQ. Apudo finds kills where realistically, I don't know where he gets them from now. This is going to be Dragon Blade with the Nano Visor, sorry, with the Nano Boost, and it's a massive cleanup. It's a huge cleanup. In fact, he should be able to pick up even more, and I'm going to be surprised if this is not a full cap out.
This is just going to be a cap right here. SunSister need to recognize this, back off with who they can. Yes, they can buy some time, but 1 minute 40, that's plenty of time to roll onto the second point with a big snowball advantage. What if SunSister got left to defend a Nano Boost with no one to combo with? The Primal Rage isn't close yet. Mollis needs to find value out of this Pulse Bomb. Otherwise, Fireball are just going to snowball all onto the second point.
And I don't think SunSister have very, I would say, staple defense lineups. Staple defense heroes for this. You see Fireball, they're changing up into the Reinhardt. You see them go onto the Hog as well. SunSister are going to go for the counter dive. This is going to get very tight and very messy. As Fireball start things off, but Rocket already going down. Where are the rest of the ultimates from Fireball? They need to get these in there. Here comes the self-destruct. Don't know if it'll hit. The Pulse Bomb catches a Meg. Self-destruct catches XQQ, and suddenly Fireball might be able to get the full cap.
And that was one of the respawners as well. Another one just killed there. This is just going to be another full cap, and there's going to be actual time left in the time bank. Fireball are 1/3 of a cap on the first point away from staying in this game.
This is so close now. Triple overtime. This is a marathon of an assault. Who knew you can get so much assault gameplay in a single map? I mean, stretch your wings out for that one, Apudo.
Absolutely, open up that backpack. Get NZNR to open up his as well.
Find all the additional pockets and fill them all up.
Fill them all up. Bring a coach in there too. Bring the whole team along, because you guys are still on a knife's edge of being at a loss. Yeah, because even if they don't cap the point here, they then go to golden point because it'll be a draw. And if they lose that one control map there, then that's SunSister taking the series. Fireball though,
yeah.
1/3 of the first point of Anubis, that's not a huge ask.
It's not, but Fireball have also kind of struggled in their first cap. I don't think they've really had a good, clean first cap. For the entire Temple of Anubis. It's always been a struggle. It's always been incredibly hard for them. They get there in the end, but where is in the end here? Because with only 1 minute 17 to work with, can they get to the end in time? It's going to be difficult. I don't think this will be easy for them.
They're adapting. In fact, both teams are adapting with only 1 minute to go. They know everything's on the line here. They've got 9th onto the Widowmaker. SunSister, though, have gone for a mix-up of their own. XQQ on the Farah, but that's walking into 9th sightlines here. He's going to find so much trouble to get value out of it.
Oh,
no, he's not!
Combo play. Okay, that's how you combo with your teammates, and suddenly things are starting to turn around. Fireball do end up picking up the kills anyway, so maybe you did kill Incident, maybe you did kill Ninth, but we're still going to take down the rest of your members. Only 3 members left alive for SunSister. Make that 2. Couple of respawners as well. Suddenly, this might be the cap out. Fireball might just be able to bring themselves back in the game, and just in the nick of time, that's exactly what they needed. 2-1, Fireball is still in it.
Oh, you're going to be sweating if you're a Fireball fan. It's a hot matchup right now. And these guys, oh, they're so happy. You've got to be happy after that as well. Might not be the scoreline that you want right now, but it's definitely the match win that you needed.
It's not the scoreline SunSister won.
No.
For sure.
I mean, SunSister can still be very happy with their performance today, but at this point, it's actually about taking series wins now. You can't just be happy with taking a map or 2 off of enemy teams anymore. You've got to be happy with taking series.
Exactly, because SunSister is still on match point. They are still very much in the lead, 2-1. They can take this. This is not over for SunSister yet, and I don't think Fireball are they're not out of the fire yet either.
No, we're gonna be moving to Escort, and I don't think we have seen SunSister on Escort, because they did it against Detonator, and even against, no, SunSister have only gone to a 5th map, or past 3 maps against Detonator. Fireball, we have seen, I think. Have you seen Fireball on Escort? Not sure.
I can't remember.
If we have, it was so long ago that it's probably irrelevant at
I'm
this
not
point.
too sure.
Teams have clearly changed a
Cannot
huge amount.
confirm or deny seeing Fireball on the score.
Teams have changed a huge amount since the first few weeks of this tournament. I mean, the results of the second round robin are clearly speaking for themselves. SunSister almost 3-0ing Fireball. Flash Wolves turning things around on blank. Machi beating Flash Wolves? What's going on in the second week, AVRL?
I think teams are shaping up. I think teams needed the first round robin to understand the scope of the competition and understand who they're going up against, and now coming to the second round robin, you've had an opportunity to play against everyone. Now you know where you stand. If you'd like to stand somewhere else, it's time to show that.
Well, I'm pretty sure SunSister want to stand somewhere that's not second last on the table, but they are poised to do that. Coming in the payload, it's not going to be their pick.
I mean, they're not second last on the table, they are last.
SunSister, yeah.
They are just last, they're not even second last. So getting to second last now would be a step forward. It would be a good step forward for SunSister, but to get there, this is an important win. They need to get this win.
Yep, you're right. I mean, like I was saying before, they can't be happy anymore with just taking maps. Sure, it's a nice result. You're improving. You're showing that you can take it to teams like Fireball. It's not a 3-0 anymore, but we're almost halfway through the tournament, halfway through the round robin, and you need to start taking series wins now if you want to have a hope of moving up through the leaderboard.
You want to join the competition too, because it feels like there's 5 teams in a competition of their own, and for everyone else that's not in that top 5, you're having your own little competition down the bottom. For SunSister, Fireball, and Detonator, they need to now be able to get results that are comparable to really start to compete and threaten the other teams in the top 5. Particularly, look, Hong Kong Attitude is sitting pretty comfortably, and not even comfortably, they're getting challenged by Machi really hard. And for Fireball, Detonator, and SunSister, they need to do what Machi have done and climb up there and effectively contest the other 5 teams.
Yep. Well, as you saw on your screen, Dorado is the map of choice for Fireball. And, you know, that's a pretty standard pickup. I mean, we see some teams take up Watchpoint Gibraltar, but pretty rarely. I mean, a lot of teams recently.
No one, I think I've seen 1 or maybe 2 Route 66.
Yeah, Route 66 is pretty much off the table.
Everyone, I think Gibraltar's been the #1 pick, followed closely by Dorado.
I think it's actually about even, to be honest.
No, I've personally seen more Gibraltar, but maybe you've seen more Dorado.
I think, yeah, no, I've definitely cast more Dorado, but in any case, Dorado is the map of choice, and we've seen some teams fall completely flat on this first point, and in fact, even being held literally at the very first corner outside your spawn door for multiple minutes, and that's not acceptable on a map like this. You can't let a team punish you like that.
I'm trying to remember. I was here for that. It does escape me a little bit.
Might have even been Fireball.
It might have even been Fireball. That answers 2 questions, because that means we have seen Fireball in Esports.
Yeah.
And if that was the case, then wasn't a pretty show, but we'll find out if they're going to be able to have a much better show against SunSister. They're going to have to, because SunSister on match point, 2-1 still the scoreline. Fireball signs of life, but it was hard fought. It's not like Fireball came in and just said like, okay, so Anubis, it's ours. Temple of Anubis, free win. Thank you very much. It was like, whoa, we got there. Wow, that could have gone the other way.
I mean, really, they got the double cap only a minute faster than SunSister. And you know, that amount of time bank is enough to go get a third of the points, so they still earned that win. There's no mistake about it, but like you said, very, very tight, very, very close. So we've still very much got a series on our hands, and also all the way back to Control. That went to a 5th map. These teams are neck and neck right now, and if you're a Fireball fan, you've got to be sweating a little bit, because you're also remembering like
Fireballs are hot.
Yeah, well, of course, right? But also, Fireball, last time they met these guys, they 3-0'd them. They looked like they were just completely above the bottom 2 teams, that there wasn't really any contest.
I think they were back then. I think they were back then, and now the circumstances have changed.
They were, and so Fireball, their fans, the team itself, they've got to be worried right now, because even if they do still manage to take out a win here, it's going to be 3-2 to the second last team. It's not the most impressive result. It's not the thing that you're looking for going into the next few weeks of this tournament.
Exactly, and it is a bit of a climb. It is a marathon effort for the teams. It does also mean plenty of opportunities to get yourself up there on the leaderboard, but when you're so far behind already, doesn't make things any easier. It's going to be Fireball on the first defense, of which was their choosing. We'll see what SunSister do here, because I haven't seen SunSister on Escort yet, just yet. You have? I have not.
Well, what we are going to see is XQQ picking up a kill with the Widowmaker.
Bam.
Straight away, this should be enough for SunSister to pounce onto Fireball, start taking positioning, rest the high ground away from Fireball, and just threaten with this Widowmaker. Get XQQ up on that window.
I mean,
plenty of
super
space.
accurate headshots, not so accurate hook shots, unfortunately. Gets that one though, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
So when he hits the hook shots, he doesn't get the headshot. It's one or the other for XQQ. So really, you got to make a choice.
So the way that Fireball needs to start contesting XQQ, stopping him getting value is, well, the first thing is you don't lose NZ and R to a Winston, but they are getting a trade back. But this is just giving more space for XQQ to just get more picks. But Apudo, he's diving into the backline, finds Mollis. This is where Fireball's aggression is really paying off. So SunSister, for all the distance they got on the payload there, they are going to be stopped short of the first checkpoint.
It's going to be a bit of a reset now, and they lose a decent amount of momentum there. I think XQQ is going to go for a swap, and rightly so. Going into the Genji would definitely... yeah, okay. No, that scared me for a second. It was like, go back to the Widow. No, I take it back. Don't bring the Arista. I'll go back to the Widow. But no, it is going to be Genji. Odinkin onto the D.Va as well. Look, you're the biggest fan of this. You've said already, this is the composition that works, so stick to it, and I believe it should work.
Yep, coming up to a Pulse Bomb as well. If they can just find a value trade there, then that's basically enough for them to go in for a 6v5 advantage. NZ and R, though, has the same thing, but a sneaky XQ, finding some shurikens into the back of the head, but also on the other side of the map, Denkin picks up a kill onto Zalfix as well. 2 kills in favor of SunSister. They're looking good, but they're trading back. This Transcendence is going to keep SunSister alive, but for how long? The respawns are about average. Shuts down the Dragon Blade. Apudo has just wasted an ultimate there. SunSister, they're getting the trades back in their favor. Still everyone dancing around the payload. Fireball, they've bought some time, so they might be able to mount one last defense, but it's not going to be with the full team.
It's not going to be pretty either. And in fact, I'm almost half expecting Zalfix to run in there with the trends. Yep, there it is. Just like I said, Tagflies should follow us on.
Doesn't even save 9.
Completely shuts him down, which also means that Transcendence ends up being a waste. And not only is that a waste, but the rest of Fireball going to end up throwing away their lives. This is a nice little gesture. In fact, they didn't even need to kill him. They could have kept Rocket alive for a bit longer, stalled him out. NZ&R definitely should not have done that.
So Fireball used a ton more ults in that fight. SunSister just reacts, say, look, guys, chill. We've got sound barrier. It's all good. We'll survive. And now they're pushing even further forward. XQQ with that Dragon Blade is definitely going to be able to... He's just going in.
Okay.
He's just going in. There's 4 people in this room.
Yep. No, not the best choice. I see what he's trying to do, but it's an overextension. It's a little bit too, yes, aggressive, but also just unnecessary, I think. Even getting the kills there.
What do you really get from that?
I mean, yeah, I mean, you get the kills there, but your cart is so far back anyway. The other team, Fireball, will be able to get some sort of hold, but because he failed that attack so hard, I mean, SunSister, the momentum they had to get the cart through just got really shut down to Fireball. Any sort of defensive position they got denied, they've now received back again.
So after the Dragon Blade fail, I mean, sure, maybe he was going to
Dragon fail.
Maybe he was going to swap anyway, though, and that's why he used it. But now he's back onto the Widow trying to find these picks, and this is a messy fight, so this should be where he picks up these kills, but it's just an even trade so far. And Fireball taking the fight to the payload, which they absolutely should, denying it any progress. XQQ still yet to find a headshot. And while this is all happening, Fireball are winning the 6v5 on the ground.
That's the headshot he was looking for. A little bit too late, though, because Euro Fireball were starting to bring it back. There was SunSister back with the vengeance of themselves, and Apudo getting shut down means the point, or rather the streets are being opened up for Fireball to get this, or for SunSister rather, to get this cap on through. And now Fireball do end up losing the high ground again. Gonna just check the spawns a little bit into the, this could be a kill. Yes, it is onto XQQ. I like that.
That's fantastic for Fireball right now. They don't have to commit anything else. They can just go and win that 65. For Fireball, they're still pushing. Primal Rage, pushing everyone else around. XQQ, he's still got to run all the way back. He picks up a kill, but yeah, can he push him off? That tactical visor, the nano boost as well, could have been completely wasted, but he does manage to survive, but he's not finding any kills with it. No value from 2 ultimates there, and now SunSister, the payload has been halted. They are still fighting for dear life here, but no trades back and forth just yet. But 3, there they are. SunSister picking up those kills. Arpudo struggling to find anything to do here. He just needs to get out alive, hold on to that Dragon Blade, maybe buy a few seconds onto that payload. But Street Space, surely it's over now.
And it's also going to be the very rare-sighted Genji from Mollis as well. And XQQ, the Widow, has been working, but I think you're getting to the stage, well, that means he's going to get a headshot. Because when you don't hit a hook shot, you go, surely you get a headshot. There it is. That's not a headshot, but he gets a kill. It's close enough. It's because
he hit one after...
Yeah, he did hook, he got the second hook shot, so that's like, you know, well, you get a shot, but it won't be a headshot.
Yeah, but...
That's how his Widowmaker works. It's science, guys, it's science.
The result is still going to be the same though. He gets a kill and it's just free distance on the payload. This is how SunSister should have played at the start of a Street Space. Now they're going back into another team fight. Mollis does have the Dragon Blade. Can he get as much value out of it as XQQ usually does? The sound barrier means they need to go in. But now that it's ended, Mollis is going to pull out the Dragon Blade and try and find a few kills here. XQQ has gone down in the background, but the Transcendence should be enough to keep Mollis alive during his Dragon Blade. And they do find a kill onto D.Va. Do they keep him alive or do they take him out? They just take him out.
There's a lot of kills and now they're holding spawn as well, so for Fireball I don't think they're going to be able to realistically mount an effective defense, not while the cart's moving as quickly as it is. And it's going to be Rocket just trying to get out there with the Reinhardt, but
this is big.
Pluto's the one getting the kills, and that's really important.
That's all they need to do. Fireball just need to find a few kills here and there.
My voice is getting really high.
But that was 2 ultimates that Fireball had to use just to survive. They swapped Rocket onto the Reinhardt as well. That's a reset on ults too. So SunSister, while they did commit a few of their own ults, they've got a minute left. Oh, XQQ onto the Mei as well, onto the Roadhog. Who knows what he's going to be on next? Maybe it's Orisa, but in any case, they're running in because they
Hero roulette.
They are XQQ playing mystery heroes here, but they are on limited time here. They don't have time to go for an economical push where they build up their own ultimates. They need to go for heroes that get value without their ults, and Roadhog is one of those heroes, especially with a surprise factor. He hooked the door.
He's playing Nautilus. He's like, I can just hook myself through the door. Anyway, the wrong game. It's going to be Fireball picking up the double kill, coming out from Internet, which is going to stop SSP again. SunSister, I think XQQ knew what his fate there was, and he's just saying, look, I'll take the quick way back to the spawn room.
Yeah, thanks for the quick travel back, boys. But SunSister, at the very least, they died so quickly that they do actually get a second shot here. And Fireball, to their credit, they are coming closer and closer to some of these ults, but Apudo has to get his Dragon Blade out during the fight. And SunSister, they still have XQQ on that Roadhog. That's something that can shut down XQQ before he even gets a chance at using the Dragon Blade.
I do like their Fireball. Stabilizing here with the Reinhardt is really effective for them. Still missing out on the hooks. I think XQQ is not working out for him at all. Now going to the overtime. I'm expecting Fireball to definitely hold 4 kills. Will be enough. 2 more left to go. And now it's just Odinkin with a mech. Not even a mech on his own. And that should be it.
Oh my god. That was the next one. It was Scorpion next.
Yeah, so I mean, for XQQ, whenever he dies, he gets given a random new hero, right? Sure.
It feels like that. Why would you be wrong? That seems to be what's happening. He actually did change every single time he died.
I mean...
Every single death he had, he changed.
I mean, I don't even...
Well,
it's hard. Okay, so... I think he should have swapped off the Widow for checkpoint 3 because you got some decent sight lines for Streets. I'll give him that. And he was effective on Streets. Give him that. Going to Cap 3, suddenly your sight lines get significantly worse.
Yeah, there's no real safe position either for XQQ, so your sight line's pretty terrible, but you're also just so vulnerable. There's no faraway position
you're in the open.
Like we saw on Anubis, where he could just stand back on the
Pluto
archway.
got hit with a sleep dart. Give him 6 seconds, he'll be okay.
Or just punch him. That'll wake him
or
up.
the other team can damage him and he'll wake up.
Yeah, but if his own team hits him, then it doesn't count.
It doesn't do anything.
Well, He's preparing up for his own attack, of course.
There it is. That's a
there he
very
is.
long 6 seconds, but you eventually get back in there, and that's entire time. Your entire Dragon Blade just got kind of wasted there. But hey, the shield composition, the Reinhardt coming up from 9th was, not from 9th, from Rocket was good. When you get to that sort of final stage and you're trying to mount that really strong foothold of a defense and you're no longer realistically trying to counter dive anymore, like counter dive isn't the way you want to go anymore, you just want to get that strong hold of the defense. I like the change up and I like that Fireball did that also on Anubis on the second cap.
Well, this is their time to prove it because remember, match point here for SunSister. If they mount a defense, they do end up taking out the series and they're opening it out explosively with a Pharah. But at the same time, what have they got for it? SunSister just dived on top of them, but 9th, he's come back in. He's found XQQ, so there are even trades, but Fireball have a much closer respawn.
Puda wants to chase this one down. And I don't know if he's going to get this. He's going to spend a long time trying to get down Mollis, and if he does get it, then fantastic. Wow. He should get a flank here as well. I expect him to climb over the wall, and if Fireball can actually connect and coordinate this properly, specifically with the fire as well, with ins and out, this will be a lot of kills in their way, and it's looking good.
XQQ's
except
had
for that headshot.
He's had enough of the Pharah. He's come out, and if there's anything that's the easiest thing in the world to headshot out of the sky, it's got to be a Pharah. But SunSister is still mounting a defense. The big thing is the payload is still moving, but Fireball, they've taken control of this fight.
And
XQQ, for as many kills as you're getting up there, buddy, you're not contesting the payload.
And this is why you don't run Widow in the last cap. And he's exactly, you said it. You're getting the kills, but you're still losing the cap. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that card is what wins and loses you the game. So, I mean, getting the kills, it's like cool, but all right, fine.
I'm hunting SunSister. Pulse bomb.
I don't know why we have to be quiet, though. I mean, it's kind
what if they hear us? Then it's just unfair. SunSister would know, but. Well, the idea here is 9th is just looking to get a pulse bomb onto many members of SunSister who are holed up in there, but they've recognized what's going on. But hey, the payload's still already halfway through. Whoa!
Where did that come from? Just sort of hang out there, get a teammate, eat a rocket, eat a lot of things, and well played. XQQ gets shut down though, so that's something Fireball have now to work with. It's kind of an even trade for them. Ultimate's online for Apudo as well. Just got to get rid of this mech and just get the cart moving.
XQQ activated. It's activated that infra site, so there's no hiding for Fireball.
I've activated the XQQ. XQQ model T1000. Let's do it.
XQQ, the newest droid on Star Wars. But hey, Dragon Blade, it's got to go big, but there's no nano boost to go with it. This is 6 ultimates, almost 6 ultimates for Fireball.
I don't think they'll need the nano boost here. Rocket Barrage coming down, straight onto Shira's pan. See you later, mate. He's going to go out of this. And we're going to see if Apuda can clean up any further kills. Deflect not going to last long enough for him, but the Pulse Bomb will be the one connecting onto XQQ and ins and out, turning it on.
Oh, Rocket. Oh, he does actually get the kill in the end. This could be big, especially Transcendence healing him right back up. But here's Shirazpan trying to contest this payload long enough for his teammates to get back. And with a long respawn for Fireball, that might be enough. The self-destruct doesn't find anyone, but this contest is coming out and the reinforcements, the cavalry have arrived for SunSister. They should be able to mount a defense here. XQQ as well. He swapped onto the Tracer.
I saw no reason for Rocket to stay there. It's not, if he was defending, great. If he's attacking though, he's not stalling anywhere long enough for his team to effectively get back into the fight. He had an opportunity to jump away with enough health. With 500 HP and a jump, you can or you should be able to at least leap towards your own team and save your life. But other than that, him being on the cart was just a free kill. And now Fireball, I mean, they lost a bunch of ults here. They now have to go up against... Is this a thing? It's just teams just...
They're playing Metal Gear Solid right now.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
Nano boost though into a tactical visor. Mollis has to get a lot of value out of it, but it's just getting eaten up. But in the meantime, Adenkin has picked up some kills, and it's going to be Fireball having to back off. But they can be happier with that. They bought out a big combo from SunSister.
Yeah, and Fireball as well. Apudo smartly deciding to save his Dragon Blade, which they'll need to use here. We've got more Metal Gear Solid happening. 9th is going to look for the sneaky pulse, but I think he's been spotted. If you got the alarm ringtone from Metal Gear Solid, you know exactly what I'm talking about here.
What's he going to do down here?
I don't know. I think he's stuck, but who cares? Because Apuda manages to get the opening kill. Demolish Dragonblade finally coming out. We've been waiting for that one. Go straight into a sound barrier though, so maybe he won't be able to get enough kills.
He found nothing.
Exactly the case. Well, he got the dash kill at the start and also at the end there, so maybe something can still happen.
But this is enough of a defense, especially with that self-destruct kill there. SunSister, remember, every kill counts more for them. They're getting trades back, but hey, they're sitting on the payload, and really, Fireball have to retreat again. They were the ones that committed ults into that, and SunSister, they react accordingly. Sound barrier being almost enough just to hold this defense on its own.
Fireball desperately running out of time. Even if they get this cap now, I don't expect them to be able to push all the way through into third without going into overtime unless they get a crazy spike of momentum. But even SunSister, XQQ, what does this guy not play? And the problem here is, unlike Zonda that literally plays everything extremely well, I'm just not convinced XQQ can actually pull all of these heroes off.
So, I'm not going to go into what Sombra brings here because I don't have time to think about that, because Rocket is going in. He's trying to buy his team time. Apudo finds a kill in the background. But what can Rocket kill? Get, he's pushing around
really
the nano
good.
visor.
So
it's
good.
just completely nullified there. What can they do? He comes back in to get a few more bullets.
Spawn.
Go back into your spawn, says AVRL, says Rocket, and they're just going to push in to checkpoint number 3. Fireball is still here.
And so, I don't want to link this together because I don't know if it is linked, but Sombra suddenly lose the cap. I don't know. 1 + 1, who knows?
Well, if it loses the cap, swapping off it should win them the cap here, but Apudo is gone in. Finally, that Dragonblade comes out once more. He gets 1 kill with it, but it's just a Diva. The Tracer will blink away, but they're still pushing the payload, and at this point in time, that's all that's going to matter. They're getting this distance on the payload, and SunSister, they're going to have to huddle in the spawn. They do find a kill into Rocket. Apudo, he's got to back off here. Can he find a kill? Every kill is going to count here.
You know, for Fireball, they definitely are getting close to this, getting so close to SunSister. What? They had this defense, and now it looks like they're about to lose it. Fireball, moments away from actually securing the final cap. Just got to wait out the self-destruct. They do, and they get the cap. Fireball win it onto Dorado. We're going to map 5, and SunSister? What was
happened?
going on? Because I was expecting a second cap hold. And then suddenly Sombra and suddenly Fireball win.
Do you think there's some correlation there?
I want to believe there is. I want to believe there is because XQQ was actually, he was doing a decent job in terms of damage output, holding out on the second cap. Fireball were finding it difficult to get themselves in. Started to play a bit of Metal Gear Solid, but like, how can we sneak in? Can we sneak in a kill with a pulse bomb? No, we can't. We revealed ourselves. This isn't working. Nothing's working. Just bashing their heads against the wall, and then suddenly, like, the wall just opens itself up, and just like, hello, I'm playing Sombra now. Welcome to the cap. Would you like to have some fun?
I can't wrap my head around it. Honestly, I've seen a ton of competitive Overwatch, but I'm really struggling to find XQQ's reasoning for that swap there.
It's like non-existent. It's really like, I'm bored. Let's do something else.
Widowmaker was working. It was shutting down the Farah. It was shutting down the huge open team fights.
He was absolutely getting the pecks, like he was getting the damage. He got nothing with Sombra. He didn't get a single kill, and that's expected. Sombra does very pitiful damage, and I mean, it's not like they require, like, oh, we really need an EMP to win this.
Even if they did.
At no point was that the case.
Even if they did need an EMP, they're facing down one more fight. There was a minute to go. And do you realistically have enough time to build up an EMP?
I mean, the answer is yes, but also, more realistically, it's like, would it have been more effective than what XQQ was already doing, which was just getting the kills to start with? Because, to be honest, he got no kills on Sombra. That's at the end of the day, that changes the face of the game. That actually really changes the result. Wow.
Who would have thought?
SunSister are so close. They're just that close.
They're an enigma, a little bit here.
Well, no, just XQQ is an enigma.
Yeah.
The rest of SunSister, I mean, they're very standard, and you know exactly what they're about. And then you've got this X factor, which is just like, he'll win you the game and he'll throw you the game. You don't know what you're going to get. It's the XQQ roulette.
Well, he's like, I can't help it, guys. Mystery heroes. Like, what am I meant to do?
Are we not playing Mystery Heroes? What's going on here? Like,
I mean,
I can't help what I got. Are you telling me it's your computers are playing something different? Because on my computer it's Mystery Heroes, so I don't know.
well, fifth match. Going back to hybrid AVRL.
It is SunSister's pick, so they got that going for them. They can't pick
Kings Row again.
I don't know. You've made it this far before with SunSister. What happens now?
All right, so
Detonator just win. That's what happens.
Your other hybrid options, right? You've got Hollywood, Eichenwald, Numbani. Some of these maps don't really work for Widowmaker, so I would say that maybe they should pick that one so they don't bait XQQ into picking it.
Hollywood is probably, out of the three, Hollywood would work the best, I would say.
But even then.
And that's only attack for Cap 1 and a bit of Cap 2 as well. Definitely not Cap 3, but Cap 1 and Cap 2, Widow, attack works. Why are we even talking? It's just crazy that we're like, oh man, we got to play around the crazy picks that XQQ is going to do.
Which maps can they
It's like
work on?
SunSister got to play it around themselves. It's like, the other five guys are like, well, I don't know what he's going to pick, so we got to play around that. Like, it's like,
yeah, just in case he pulls out Mei, we're going to find a good map with Mei on it. And
which Eichenwald kind of is because of the tight, narrow entrances that you got to deal with.
you do have that additional entrance. Well, kind of additional entrance, additional path into the entrance on the right-hand side as the attacker. It's a little bit easier to get into there, and you're less vulnerable to being completely locked out by Mei walls. But you're right, it still does work.
I don't think Mei's not going to work on Numbani. It just won't. Where does Sombra work? Why am I hate that I'm considering this, but where does
Hollywood,
Sombra,
kind of.
no, not really.
It's easy enough to hit a lot of people with EMP.
Hollywood on attack, first cap attack,
Yes.
maybe, because it's easy to hit, like you said, easy to hit a lot of EMP. Not easy to charge up because you don't have a lot of health packs to work with early on to get yourself charged up. And when you do, then you're in action. But
It can work if the enemy team runs a Tourbillon. And we're going to go into Hollywood. I don't expect a Tourbillon to come out on the defense for either teams. So, yeah, Sombra can work if you're running into a Tourbillon on Hollywood. But
okay, Hollywood.
yeah, I don't see it happening. So,
I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance XQQ snipes again, but I don't. But I think it's either going to be Widow or Genji. And I'm thinking Soldier defensively. So Soldier on defense for XQQ is going to work quite well. See, if we were making his hero picks, I think they'd be fine. I think SunSister would have won already if we made this hero picks.
Probably, and they probably wouldn't have lost so easily earlier on to Hong Kong Attitude. Would have made a last-second defense. That alone would have bought them at least a little bit more time. But okay.
Yeah, the impact would have been non-zero. It would have been a non-zero impact, which would have been something.
Any effect at all. But coming into Hollywood, SunSister, they get to choose the side. So whether they attack or defend first.
I got no confidence that SunSister can win this anymore. I have no confidence in. I don't know. Both of these teams. I think Fireball looked really shaky, and I was like, man, this could be a 3-0. And then I was like, well, maybe SunSister will just take it 3-1 because their Dorado defense looks absolutely solid. But now we're here, so I can't call it anymore. I can't call it because SunSister are either going to do really well or they'll sabotage themselves. I'm not too sure.
Here is the situation where SunSister do incredibly well against Fireball. They just play standard. They just play their 2-2-2. Leave a Denken on Diva, which they have been, to their credit, they have been running a lot.
It's been good.
Yeah, exactly. Throw XQQ on Soldier, even on attack, that's fine. Put him up on the high ground. SunSister have shown that they're great at just bodyguarding him up to the position and then going for the dive. And then suddenly you've got this situation where there's 5 guys diving on top of me. And then also, we've got to deal with a Soldier who's up on the high ground as well. So they can do it. We've seen them do it on Kings Row as well. So I feel like just play standard. Don't bring Mei, don't bring Widowmaker, even though that's semi-standard. It's not so much on Hollywood.
It's like they're pulling a Flash Wolves and then a reverse Flash Wolves, where it's just like, oh, we'll play against Hong Kong Attitude, we'll look really bad, and then suddenly up against Fireball, it's like, oh, now we bring the 2-2-2 out. Here's our standard composition, we look really good, and then they're like, no, let's actually go back to what we were doing against Hong Kong Attitude, which is like,
it's like,
why?
It's like being the story of Flash Wolves over the whole tournament within a series. And except reverse.
You mean in this series? So
Yeah, in
what?
this
You
series.
start out really good,
Yeah.
but then you get bad, but then you get good again.
Is this the time that they get good
yeah,
again?
so if it's actually the story of Flash Wolves, then they'll win this.
And they should full hold. If that's the story of Flash Wolves.
Yeah, because they
3-0'd blank.
Because you'll be so good you 3-0 blank. So exactly.
Yeah.
So Fireball got no chance then if it's the story of Flash Wolves. But
Fireball as well. Let's remember.
if it's the story of SunSister, then well, it's mystery heroes again. So who knows?
Oh man, no, I can't wait. I can't wait to see the Orisa come out from XQQ today. We almost saw one. Oh
Hey,
my
we saw a
God.
tour, but I know that was right at the end when he wasn't going to play it, but I wouldn't put it past the guy anymore. I just wouldn't.
No.
What's gonna happen is he's gonna insta lock one of his teammates' picks.
He's gonna go over to his teammate's computer and say, "Okay,
No.
you're the main now."
No. He just does it. He just gets in the game, locks it before anyone else does.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah,
Picks
and
up- he's the Winston one.
Yeah, he just does what he wants. Oh boy. We are gonna get into the game. Things are gonna start out now onto Hollywood, and it's gonna be SunSister on the defense first. Their pick XQQ on the soldier defense, like I said.
This is what I want to see.
It is.
This is
And
perfect.
we saw, we said that on Dorado too, and then something happened, so let's just hope he sticks onto it.
Okay, well, very likely just going to be holed up in that diner on the second floor. He's got to be careful of that dive. There's so many people that can dive on top of him. Does need that protection. Here they come.
Early kills. This is the SunSister that they need to be able to bring out. Straight away, Internet goes down. XQQ's got a bullet with his name on it, and for Fireball, much like has been the evening for them so far, they got to get it. They have a really rough start in these opening skirmishes.
And SunSister, I'm talking about how, XQQ, he's going to get dived very heavily. They need to protect him. Fireball didn't do the same to their own back line. They'd suffered pretty terrible kills from Mollis mostly. So great play out of SunSister to defend that aggressively as well. So now Fireball coming in for the second defense. Luckily for them, no one on SunSister has ult, so they can still play this one essentially like the first fight.
To be honest, they have the dive potential to shut down XQQ pretty quickly. Check out the shield placement. So there goes Rocket straight onto the front line. Instant again dying super quickly. Rocket, because he didn't get the follow-up, didn't manage to survive as well. So you saw Apuro at the back there. Apuro didn't follow Rocket up. Maybe Instant did, but Instant died so quickly, it didn't even matter. Now the only question remaining is, where was Ninth? Did Ninth follow Rocket up or not? Because I'm kind of guessing either no or he wasn't affected, because there's no way Rocket should die that quickly.
Well, we're going into a different story now because Ultimates will be into play. No Nano Boost, but Apuro surely should not need that to take out XQQ with his own Dragon Blade. Kill him before the tactical fires is even a thing, but Mollis is getting value every single fight. A kill at the start of every single fight.
So is XQQ, but the point is Fireball losing plays at the start. Inzanura, one of the first key targets. I don't understand. Why is this Transcendence being committed? That is a total waste. What is going on? Fireball, no.
And SunSister punish this hard. As soon as that Transcendence is over, they chase them straight out to the spawn. In fact, throw out a Transcendence of their own. I'm not sure what that was for.
Oh my.
Maybe just a mana
Oh my
Transcendence.
SunSister, what's going on?
Embrace tranquility indeed, because now
it's like Kurlos goes in there, embrace tranquility, and then Night Owl's like, yes, embrace tranquility, and they both just run at each other.
they'd hear different things though, because different voice lines.
Oh really?
but-
That's right.
Yeah, that's how the game works.
You're not even wrong about that.
No, I'm never wrong. But XQQ picks up a
I don't
kill
know
at the
about
start of
that.
this. Pulse Bomb blows up a chair instead of an XQQ. And NZNR is no threat at all. He dies before he can even get to that health pack.
Yeah. You really wish. Now, you can't even complain about what you can, but I'll let go of Kurlos' wasted Transcendence because Night Owl did it as well. Effectively, that becomes an even trade.
Kurlos
But
did
everything
swap,
else,
though.
has been really, I don't know, a little bit unconventional. Fireball, are we already under 1 minute and Fireball have barely, they have not even touched the cap.
They've also swapped as well. They're now running a Fire, they're running the Ana as well, which means Nano Boost is probably not going to get up in time. And now they're contesting this balcony. But Fireball, their sound barrier is completely out, but XQQ finally dies. The Dragon Blade's finally getting some value. NZNR finds the Rockets, and finally, Fireball find their feet on the point with a very, very clean fight.
There's a lot of finding, a lot of finalies, and finally, it's going to be Fireball finding the point. Finally. That's what they needed. What they really need is they need SunSister to throw really hard, because I don't know. Fireball, maybe their change-ups were really good. The NZNR change on the Pharah is interesting, and I feel like part of that is because the Tracer just simply was not working for him anymore. He was simply getting caught out so early every single time. And now XQQ when you are able to get XQQ off the Soldier, that's when things start to happen.
Almost a bit.
And I mean that literally and figuratively, because I'm just counting down the time until he literally swaps off Soldier.
I was really stressed out after that first point capped. I was expecting Sopra, May, something to come out, but at least he's staying vigilant, staying on that Soldier.
I've been stressed out this entire 5-map series. It's been a journey.
But there's no contest at all for SunSister to get back on this roof, and that payload is slowly marching towards that director's trailer, getting him to, I don't know, his job, I guess. That's why he's going there. But
I have no idea. Why is this guy so important? Why is that car so important? We'll never figure it out.
First time I played this map, I thought it was the car itself talking to me. That was
the
weird.
car itself.
No, it's an omnidirector. It's not the car itself. Whoa!
You learned something.
There you go, but Barrage straight to the face. It might kill the mech, but it kills NZNR as well. But it doesn't matter because Fireball, they're picking up enough kills. They're securing the payload. The distance is getting done. That's all they need to get all the way to the second checkpoint. They spend a lot of time.
Oh boy, Apudo. I can fly farther up than you can, Moss. Why? I don't know. This is now the point where I don't believe Mollis changing onto Pharah is a good option to take out NZNR's Pharah. You've already got XQQ on Soldier. It's realistically
that's just making it's just making it easier to dive your ground force.
I don't know. I'm not too big of a fan of that. Fireball's change-ups were a little bit weird, but it is working out for them. The Curless change onto Anna has been fantastic because now he's got the nano boost to really enable his other teammates, namely Apudo, and that was a really quick Streets phase. Now, usually Streets is incredibly difficult in Hollywood. Here comes Dragon Blade again. Is he going to find anything? He's going to play directly into the attack visor. Slices two for one. You got to like that for a deal.
Yeah, 2-in-1 swipe. That's fantastic. SunSister, they get a few trade backs, but
this is a bit embarrassing though.
Yeah, when you get 2 kills with one.
Oh my lord!
Come on, Apudo.
He did the coolest thing ever, where he swings one sword, gets 2 kills, and then suddenly loses. Yeah, I can't get a Lucio on like 50 health. My bad.
Well, 2 minutes to go. Fireball still pushing ever forward, but this is the part where it actually gets quite hard to get the payload any further. They need to get a very clean kill, and Nano Blade is not in the pocket for Fireball anymore. They need to get a lot of value out of their basic kit. They need to push out, try and get ults here, or maybe even just some basic frag kills. That might be enough for them to get the win here.
Down barrier committed now from both sides as well. Rocket's finding it difficult to land on a target, but all actually denying XQQ might just be exactly what they need. Mollis will say no, though. Mollis will do all the jobs SunSister require. Rocket smartly will get himself out of that situation. And Fireball, I don't know. They're now the ones kind of struggling against the Fire. So while I said, Mollis being onto the Fire doesn't do him any favors, particularly against NZNR, now NZNR changing onto the Soldier kind of counters SunSister because he was getting shut down a bit by XQQ. Now the chance of that happening is a lot less, and he can contest Mollis. Here comes Attack Visor.
What a position! What a position!
But where are the kills? But where are the kills?
Well, I mean, the defense matrix is there to start taking him out, and also starting the tactical visor onto Reinhardt.
I mean,
their bullets weren't doing any damage, but look at the payload. It's starting to move. Fireball are getting the kill. SunSister can't mount the defense here, and eventually this is going to be cleaned up. That was such a one fight that SunSister don't even have time to run back onto this payload. Tracer is going to have to do all the work here. Transcendence has been the ultimate of the day.
Embrace tranquility is being embraced, but what they really need is less tranquility, more kills. And SunSister, they're not getting the counter frag. XQQ already going down to a Apudo early. Getting Rockets a good start, but they need a lot more. And so far, Fireball, the one's getting the majority of the trades here. Asleep onto Elu as well, does get woken up in the end, but Apudo's going to count.
They just need to buy enough time to get them into overtime, and that's worth it. That's finally, they make it to overtime. Okay, that's something at least that SunSister can work with, because now if they manage to do the same thing but get into time bank, then they actually get an attempt to force out a win during the time bank itself. If they go into overtime, it's almost a draw.
I call what we just saw there a hot mess. It was like a lot of things happening, but both teams at one stage decided, you know, we're both going to play the Pharah. And then Incident, I don't even know what's going on here. Incident, it works. It works because it's getting shut down on Tracer quite a bit, so I agree. Good call. At the same time, I think a Reaper could have probably done the same job, but yeah, but it's fine. Reaper a little bit slower. Maybe the Pharah just has the better long-range committal damage, so that's fine as well. I'll give him that. That's cool. But XQQ still on the Soldier. You are immediately playing onto that as well, and he does realize that, and he says, look, if they're going to counter Pharah for realistically no good reason, well, I'm going to go into Soldier, and that exactly worked out so well for Fireball. And then right towards the end there, you were right. Like, XQQ had great positioning on the Tag Visor, but
He was shooting tanks.
he was shooting tanks, shooting a shield, shooting a Matrix. That wasn't the biggest problem. The biggest problem was, did you see the rest of SunSister? Because it just looked like him. It just looked like one dude. It was XQQ only, with the Tag Visor against the whole of Fireball. And SunSister, the rest of their team were somewhere else and they couldn't capitalize. And it's fine. Look, it's fine if you are just shooting tanks. If you've got the attention of both the tanks, they have to focus all of the defense on you. Meanwhile, the rest of your team is attacking from another angle where they're not being affected by the shield. They're not being affected by the Matrix. That just didn't happen.
How did he even get there without dying? That's what I want to know.
Well, I mean, both teams have been playing Metal Gear Solid since Dorado, so at this stage, nothing surprises me.
Yep, he's replaced the sprint key with a crouch key just to get there silently, but Fireball.
What do you mean? You get a crouch key by default.
Yeah, but he's just replaced it. You know?
I see what you're saying. So he's got two crouch keys.
Yeah, two crouch keys. Who needs sprint when you can
That's,
Metal Gear
what
Solid?
is that? Super crouch. Is
Super
that
crouch.
when you're prone, you're crawling along the ground?
Can you imagine that? That definitely, he just uses the push-ups emote all the way there. But hey, look, it's SunSister. They're trying to come in, and this is a strong first offense. 2 kills already. How can Fireball come back from this? This is a shield-based composition as well. We didn't talk about that. The 2 tanks are still alive, and they might be able to live just barely long enough for the rest of their team to come back. The run back isn't too long, but those 2 kills should secure this first point for SunSister.
That is disgusting. I mean, Fireball struggled so hard, they had to change their entire composition. They went into overtime to get this, and SunSister are like, actually, you can just get it like this.
Now, this is how you do it, boys.
To be honest, I get scared every time XQQ dies, because you're just like, I don't know what he's coming back as. I get really worried, and my anxiety builds up, and, you know.
Incident falls off the lift, isn't it? Not even able to get up to the high ground. It's being contested so much by SunSister anyway, but that 1 kill onto Mollis should be enough to send SunSister packing for the hills, going back to their spawn, back to the payload, which they, by the way, didn't even move during all of that.
Yeah, you forgot about. I mean, we joke that, we don't even joke. I'm pretty serious right now when I say SunSister are a team that kind of, okay, we'll talk about that later, because Earthshadow coming down from Rocket, unfortunately he eats a dragon, he eats XQQ in his face, and now both teams realistically want to kind of commit on this, but I think Fireball, great Earthshadow, but really bad follow-up. You're right, really bad follow-up. Now,
This time they're actually pushing the payload, so SunSister, they can move forward.
You're right.
Yep, Mollis, if you can find this pulse bomb, is going to be great. The trades are back and forth, but SunSister can be happy with it because payload, it's still moving. They're still happy with that. But now that Fireball are coming back in for the defense, they're not being contested on the high ground here. SunSister give up positioning because they had lost a player just at the very start of that fight.
like I was saying before, you know, SunSister end up being that team that just sometimes forget about the objective. On Assault, that's just leaving the point. Even on Hybrid, even King's Row and Anubis, that's just leaving the point here. You forget to push the cut, but they do have the cut somewhat of a distance up. Fireball do have a decent defense setup as well. It's an interesting one because Rocket's now tried to play Reinhardt. He's back onto the Winston. He's more comfortable on the Winston. You've got a decent amount of ults as well. This should be a hold.
XQQ has swapped onto the Roadhog.
That's more acceptable than half the other heroes I've seen him on tonight, so I'm not even complaining anymore. I'm not complaining about that one.
At least I can talk about what Roadhog can actually bring, and that's a hook. Taking down a Winston straight away. Winston dives into you, take him out right away. This is a nice even trade. There's still a Dragon Blade ready for Raputo if they want to mount a defense. His payload's still not moving. SunSister needs to move in. XQQ, he needs to find a value from these hooks. He needs to find these kills if he wants to get anything out of. No, Raputo.
Oh, I'm taking Raputo for that.
Raputo from the
nice response onto XQQ. Pulse Bomb won't land effectively. This is really not looking great for SunSister. I mean, getting the first kill on Apuda was great, but they immediately got traded back, and SunSister couldn't recover, couldn't get any further picks, and Fireball got a decent amount of hold here. So for all the time that Fireball struggled on the first cap, SunSister had no struggle on the first cap, but on the second cap, suddenly the car's been stopped.
Well, hold your horses, because XQQ, he's called for another hero swap on basically the whole roster. They've now...
Oh, I like this swap though, it's just swapping back
Yes.
into something good.
It's good, right? And now he's
Thanks.
also... Okay, he's pushed off the high ground position there, and actually just contested. How
Place
much
your
do you
bets,
like it
what's
now?
next?
Well, I reckon it's the May next.
I'm thinking if he stays on Soldier, it's not bad. I'm thinking Genji wouldn't be too bad either for him, but it will be the Soldier, and it will be another opportunity for SunSister to try and contest this. And interestingly enough as well, Elu is now the one playing Zenyatta. I don't know how long he's been playing Zenyatta on this map, but you're not going to see a Night Owl level of transcendence. Did I speak too soon? Did I speak too soon? I'm going to hold my breath from now on.
Well, this is going to be a push where SunSister at the very least need to buy out some ultimates. They're throwing out the, not the tactical visor, but the nano boost getting a lot of damage. I mean, well, a lot of it's going into a primal raging Winston, who's actually beating the heck out of XQQ there and does end up taking him down. And now the payload, it's still stuck in its tracks. Pulse bomb, what's that going to get? Just a single kill, but no movement on the payload.
It might be enough though. It might be enough just to start to swing things in SunSister's favor, because Shirzpan also has got a primal rage for himself. But you're right, they need to get some movement on the actual card. And for SunSister, I think the momentum is starting to slowly shift back to Fireball's favor, because the Fireball have respawn. They have the ultimate self-destruct, won't pick him anything up. XQQ's back in the fight, but he's actually the one contesting card himself, which I think is a mistake, and it will end up being a mistake.
Oh. NZNR gets taken out, got nothing from his tactical nano boost visor combo. SunSister, they are still losing members though, so
chips and a drink.
No matter how much value you get out of killing that combo, you're still not getting the fight win here. You're still not moving the payload, and you've only got 50 seconds left to go. That's less than a minute. XQQ needs to get value out of his own tactical visor, but SunSister have time to retreat. They need to just, well, there you go. Kill the Tracer there. Now you can retreat. Now you can regroup, because remember, Fireball used a lot of ultimates in their last fight.
Why is XQQ still there? He's actually very much at risk of being dived on by tanks if he's not too careful. And him dying again here would definitely spell a bit of a disaster for SunSister, and they need to be able to find an opening. What's really been wrong is XQQ hasn't found a good spot where he can really dominate positionally as a soldier. Meanwhile, if you look at NZNR, he's always able, he's still got the high ground right now, which is really important, but for XQQ, he's the one pushing the card as a soldier, and I don't think you want to do that.
Already a kill onto Mollis, and the Dragon Blade is coming out as well. And no matter what a nano boosted monkey can do, it's actually going to be Apudo picking up all of the kills. He's trying his best to contest onto this payload, but we're in overtime. Fireball are surely going to come back with this defense. Shortly, they're going to pick up the 5th map win here. And the overtime, no matter how many bodies you throw at the payload, SunSister, Fireball are going to take out map number 5.
Oh, wow, Fireball, they've done it. It was a complete reverse sweep, 0-2 down, bring it back, 3 wins in a row for SunSister. They were so close, they were almost able to bring back their losing streak, get one onto the board, but it won't be happening tonight. Not quite yet, as you're right. Fireball, they're now the best mystery hero 6v6 team in the competition.
Well, I mean, XQQ is really the only one that's been playing it, but my heart absolutely goes out to SunSister right now.
Yeah.
They put their all into that.
Me too.
And it was close. They were trying out very many different things, but oh no, it's
not the time
to be
you got scrims for that. When you go into matches, just stop.
To be reverse swept as well?
Yeah, that's a heartbreaker.
That's so rough.
Look, I'm really happy for Fireball, because this gives them a chance to catch up to the other teams. But it also kicks SunSister down a notch as well. I mean, if you look at it like Fireball climbing up a ladder, they just got their foot on and pushed SunSister back down a rung. And for SunSister, this could have been and almost should have been, I expected it to be their first win. And now I'm not too sure anymore. Now I'm just, if they failed to, and look, the disappointment on their faces, I'm equally as disappointed, not in a bad way, but just, I really wish they got that win. It would have been bad for Fireball, but at least you don't want SunSister to be sitting down there with 0.
You can't want all the teams to get a win, AVRL. I know I want them to as well. I love Fireball. I love SunSister.
Why can't every team be first place?
No, Oh, it's not fair. I mean, it could happen with a big tie, but that's a big ask there. That's a big ask. But it's going to be Fireball, and you know, as much as I love the power of friendship and SunSister as a team, and seeing a team with no wins breaks my heart, Fireball still deserve that win, still show that they are the better team. The more consistent team is what I want to talk about, because, well, they weren't playing things like May and Widowmaker at weird times, and Sombra at weird times.
All right, well, after that result, let's take a look at the updated scoreboard to see where the teams are lying. We have Fireball now at 5 and 6, 1 win away from catching up to Machi Esports, who looked a little bit elusive, but are suddenly not so far up ahead from Fireball. Unfortunately, Detonator Gold and SunSister still sitting down there. The score difference is now a total of 4 wins between Detonator Gold and Fireball. SunSister 0 and 11. It's an unfortunate result. It's an unfortunate score line, but it is still the second round robin. And I guess their final opportunity here is going to be their game against Detonator later on. Not this weekend, but coming up in this round robin.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, looking at the rest of the teams they have to play against, they've already played against Hong Kong Attitude. They just lost against Fireball. I don't see them beating any of the other teams. Maybe Machi, but not Machi in the second round.
Yeah, because Machi just beat Hong Kong Attitude, who just beat SunSister. And if you can't beat Fireball, who were the next team down the list, then your next chance is against Detonator. So the silver lining for SunSister is I think they had a stronger performance against Fireball than Detonator did. So that kind of speaks to SunSister's ability to perhaps get their first win off Detonator instead.
Yeah, I've got to agree there. I mean, but when you're sitting at the bottom of the table, like you said, 0 and 11, when the best thing you can take away from it is, well, now this means that we've got a good chance of beating the second last team. Oh, that's not a position you want to be in.
It's tough. It is really difficult.
I mean, we talk about how long the tournament is and how teams can actually come back from a big deficit. This is too much. This is way too far. I mean, like we said, it's theoretically possible, but at this point, I don't see SunSister coming back at all, and even Detonator.
I don't know about at all, but I don't see them coming back this round robin, maybe not even the third, but by the fourth round robin, when you start to see that spark of life, I know it'll be too late by then, but it's something, and they need to be able to walk away from this competition with something in their hands, something to be proud of, and a result that, while it won't be the best result ever, it'll be a result that they can at least, you know, walk back with a decent amount of dignity and their heads held up, you know?
Yep. I mean,
that's what I think they need.
Yeah. For Fireball though, we saw it on the scoreboard. They're now hot on the tail of Machi Esports, and
oh yeah, the Fireball's catching up.
Well, while I'm not exactly sure if Fireball can actually take it to Machi just yet, Machi should really be watching out. Yeah, well, I mean, okay, we know that they can't take it to Hong Kong Attitude, but Machi need to stay consistent with their results if they want to stay ahead of Fireball. Otherwise, Fireball are going to start catching up. If you're Machi and suddenly you drop a game to one of these teams below you, maybe it's Fireball, maybe it's even one of the Japanese teams, suddenly any shot you have of breaking into the top 4 and heck, even the top 3, that is all gone.
Let's be real, Machi just took a map off blank and had a reasonably tight series with them overall. So Machi's in a great spot. Machi's in a spot where I firmly believe they're ahead of Hong Kong Attitude, where I firmly believe that they're reasonably catching up to, say, AHQ and Flash Wolves, but AHQ and Flash Wolves have now leveled up so much. They've gone from not being able to realistically touch blank to beating blank, both of them beating blank, so.
Point blank.
Yeah,
well, at least for Flash Wolves, point blank 3-0, that's...
Yeah. That, you're right. You are right, and I will offer that to you. We'll talk about that in a second. And it's going to be the winner's interview. I thought it was going to be in Japanese. We've got Kurlos there with Captain Zelfix.
They do translate this one into English.
Yes, they do.
Congratulations. And do you feel happy now?
Give me more. Fast. Winner. Yeah, more. 好的，我们知道说他刚刚呢比赛的时候，一开始是先输了2场，然后后来呢反败为胜。但是他们输了2场之后，完全没有打消他们的气势，还是非常的开心。到底是怎么办到的？
Okay, in the beginning, you guys lost two games to SunSister, but your team still look very happy. How did you do that?
ก็เลยแบบพอเราแพ้2เกมติดใช่ป่ะครับเราก็โอเคแล้วก็เราอาจจะไปดูว่าเราผิดพลาดตรงไหนแล้วเราก็พยายามแก้ในจุดๆนั้นใน2เกมที่ผ่านมาแล้วก็ดูศึกษาศัตรูว่ามันเล่นเขาเล่นยังไงอ่ะเขาถึงชนะเราได้แล้วเราก็จับจุดได้ว่าอะไรเป็นจุดแข็งของเขาแล้วเราก็ชนะไม่ได้
He said after first 2 games we try to remain calm and we try to study their strategy to find a strength and weakness and this is how we overcome the problem.
在连续输了2场之后呢，我们持续保持的冷静，然后我们去研究对面的这个优缺点，然后这个就是为什么我们可以最后获胜的原因。
真的要沉得住气，有没有？他们都躺着赢了，好不好？那我们也看到说，其实他跟那个欧普特他的关系非常的奇妙，还有一些激情的动作互动。难道他们真的有一些奇妙特殊的关系吗
So on the camera, you and Carlos and Aputo looks very close, and sometimes we see a lot of hugs. What's the relationship?
有吗？有吗？
ก็เป็นเพื่อนสนิทฮะก็แล้วก็แบบเล่นเกมด้วยกันมาเยอะแล้วแบบถูกคอกันแล้วก็เป็นแบบเป็นคนเฮฮาด้วยกันฮะก็เลยแบบสนิทกันมากหน่อยมากกับเพื่อนนิดนึง
He said we have been playing games together for a long time and like giggles. Yeah, and he said at the end more than friends.
OK， 他说呢，我们在一起玩游戏其实已经玩了非常久的时间，所以呢，他最后是说我们已经超过朋友关系了。
哦，那应该是没有越界吧？
You didn't go too far, right?
那我们就放心，我们就可以好好的看比赛了。
好朋友，他说。
好朋友，好朋友 ，good friend。OK， 好的，我们也知道说，就是我们的 Carlos 他常常是打安娜，对不对？那他的源氏跟闪光常常呢是还没有等到他出现，然后就已经冲到前面了。他有什么想法？
So being an Anna player, sometimes like Tracer and Genji like went around and miss. How do you do about that?
ก็กรีดร้องแล้วก็วิ่งหนีฮะแล้วก็พยายามให้มีชีวิตให้นานที่สุดก่อนที่จะตายและให้เพื่อนมาฆ่า
He said when he got the enemy close to him, he screamed and tried to buy friends more time, as long as the friends can like as long as he can to make their friends kill the enemy.
OK， 他说呢，这个在有时候对方靠近他的时候，那他会在座位上大喊，他会大叫，然后试着告诉他们说要赶快在前面杀完敌人，赶快回来。
没有错。刚刚呢，其实我在现场的时候，他们超大声的，但是 Sunrise 都很安静，我就知道他们真的都是很激情激烈的在互动哦。好，也祝福他们呢可以有一个很好的成绩。那我们呢要先进一段广告，广告回来之后呢，还有 Sunrise 的沙发区的访谈哦。
Right, and that was the interview from Curls and Zelfix. And look, I think we just found out which team really embraces the power of friendship, and it's not SunSister.
That's more than the power of friendship, right? I mean, right from the
Power of really good friendship, and I think every team needs to take a page out of that book because if you want to be a good team, you got to really be friendly with the other teammates, and I think that's exactly what's required. But let's take a look at what's coming up later on this evening as well. We just had SunSister against Fireball, so don't mind what it says in match 3. We haven't seen Fireball versus Flash Wolves just yet. That's coming up next, and then afterwards, And match 4 is going to be Machi Esports versus AHQ Esports Club. And I also got a little bit of tidbit right at the end of that interview, which is saying that, look, SunSister haven't had an interview yet, so they're going to give SunSister a couch interview, which will be taking place right after this break in roughly about 4 seconds. So we're going to take a break as well while we show you that, and we'll see you afterwards.
这是我们的访问分别他们的队长以及他们的一个主场 Zaman 哦。那么这边想要先请他们两个跟大家问个好，然后以及自我介绍。
Can you introduce yourself to the audience?
じゃあ俺から行くね。こんにちは。サンシスターの Z 版です。今日は出なかったんですけど、普段はメインタンクをやらせていただいてます。こんにちは。
はい、私サンシスターのナイトオールと申します。チームではサポートを担当させていただいております。よろしくお願いします。
对，今天这场比赛其实打得非常非常的激烈，而且其实上届它是一个2-0的一个停牌，但是最后居然是让2追3，是让 Fireball 给打掉了。那个其实对我们来讲，就是大家都很希望他们赢，而且也非常非常期待他们可以拿下他们的首胜。可是后面到底发生什么事情，导致他们没有办法拿分呢
？So the games have been very exciting, and you guys obviously won the first 2 games. But what happened to the later games? Can you share with us?
はい。そうですね。最初の2マップは私たちが練習してきたことというのがうまく発揮できたということだったんですけども、3マップ目以降はファイアボールが僕たちのその弱点というか、結構サポートを中心に狙ってきてて、それでうまく味方をサポートすることができずに、かなりやりづらい形になってしまって、うまく攻撃ができなかったかなという形になってしまったと思います。
So what he said was that the first 2 maps we practiced a lot, so we were able to do what we wanted to, but after that we weren't practicing as much, and they changed their focus from what they're doing before to a more support-oriented focus. So like the supports were falling too fast, and we weren't able to rework our composition and how we play towards how they were playing fast enough.
他是说呢，前2场的比赛，其实他们在这2张地图上面，其实都有做过了非常多的练习。那所以他们有办法打他们想要的打法这样子，那有成功的获胜。但是后面的几张地图呢，他们比较没有那么多的练习，以及加上对手有去更换了他们的组合，让他们对手的组合比较像是有辅助来做支撑，而且辅助补上的速度都很快。那变成说他们没有办法调整自己的阵型来去打赢对面这样子。
对，下一个问题应该大家都非常非常好奇，因为其实上次的主输出手 SQQ， 其实他在比赛当中啊，作为一个主输出，但是他的一个角色池很广。可是那么一来，大家也会有一个疑问，就是为什么会如此频繁的换角？
换的角是指？
他的换角色，他就是、对，你会发现他可能在一场比赛当中，可能会使用夺命女，然后后面还会再换成害影，或者是这个是有经过战术上面的配合嘛，或者是会以 XQQ 为一个战术的主体，然后去做一个其他人再做一些变动。
Okay, so everyone has been very curious about XQQ. So is he like the focus of the team right now, and also because he has a lot of hero pool, and sometimes he changed to different heroes. Is that the like do you focus on his choice and change other compositions, or do you have a like whole strategy and that's why he changed his roles?
Well, we have a general composition and playstyle in mind. So usually he'll start off on something generic, and then we'll try to go with that. But off game, like in game, he's not the focus. But off game, he inputs a lot, and I input a lot, and then we work around that. But in game, when we hit a wall and can't like break it, it's his job, and we don't tell him what to do. He has a huge champion pool, so he'll just pick whatever he wants to and see if we can break that wall. So it's up to him, and we do what we will do, and then he does his own thing, and we try to like beat the other team that way.
OK， 他是说呢，他们基本上是有一个主要常用的阵型。 那但是如果当他们在游戏中发生就是他们遇到很大的阻碍或困难，然后他们没办法去突破的时候，XQQ 有可能就会去换他的其他的角色来用。那因为他的英雄池够深，所以他在换其他角色的时候，其他人就是尽量的去做好原本该做的事情，然后配合他。
好，那么下一个问题就是，因为我们知道其实台日有特殊的一个关系在，因为最早我们也是。第一次的一个交流赛就是跟日本队，所以其实无论是台湾的一个状况，就是非常多的一个玩家很早就认识他们，也希望他们能够获得首胜。那也包含其实这一次太平洋锦标赛，特别日本派2队来，所以日本也有非常多的一个支持者是支持他们的。那有什么样的话，在今天这样的一个状态之下，就是可以跟支持者讲一下？
要问谁？要问谁？
都队长好了 ，Naito。
A question to Naito. It's been Taiwan and Japan has been like very close for a long time, and our first show match last year was also inviting. We also invited Japanese team to Taiwan, and for this time, OPC Japan also have 2 teams coming. Do you have anything special you want to say to your fans in Japan?
そうですね今のところまだ今日は惜しかったんですけども1回も勝つことができておらずでただ少しずつではありますが成長して、強くなってきているという、実感はあるのでもう少ししたらきっと勝利をお届けできるかなというふうに、僕たちも精一杯頑張りますので不甲斐ないところばっかり見せてちょっと申し訳ないですけども、ぜひこれからも応援お願いいたします。
Should I translate that? Okay, so well, what he said is that we're sorry that we haven't been able to get a win yet. We are trying our best and we're practicing very hard, and you guys might not be able to see it, but we are getting better, and we can feel that we're getting better. And today we find we're getting closer to winning. So we're sorry that we're not really representing Japan to its fullest, but hopefully we'll be able to get a win, and by the end of the tournament we'll be able to play against the top teams at the same level. So please continue to support us. Yes.
Okay. 他们一开始说，非常抱歉，就是我们还没有办法拿下1胜。那他们其实在自己的内部的练习，他们其实有非常大的感觉，是他们一直有在进步，而且进步的蛮神速的。所以他们希望呢，然后再加上今天的比赛，他们也是觉得他们几乎快要赢了，那很可惜后来输掉这样子。那他们是说希望大家可以继续的支持他们，那他们会持续的努力，然后得到一些胜利，然后希望最后可以在比赛结束的时候呢，是可以跟联赛里面比较强的队伍来做竞争。
好，那么接下来大家就是放轻松一点，我问一些轻松的一个问题好了，就是其实我觉得他们2个都长得算蛮帅的。那在日本有没有女朋友
Okay, so now it's more relaxing questions. The question is, you guys look handsome, you know,
Thank you.
in a way. And do you guys have girlfriends in Japan?
彼女いますか
Yes.
I guess so. Maybe.
可
能有，那就是有。我觉得这个意思就是有暧昧的对象，或者是来台湾的时候，是不是有遇到不错的女孩？喜不喜欢台湾女生？跟日本他觉得有什么不一样的地方？有没有机会接触到
？Do you like Taiwanese girls, and what's the difference between Japan and Taiwan? What do you think?
Girls? Are we talking? 台湾と日本の女の子の差は何ですかね？差 ？NG じゃない程度にね。NG じゃない。
そう言っていいよ。
どうぞ。どうぞ。
そうですね。足が綺麗な人が多いんじゃないかなと道を歩いていると思います。
He says that the Taiwanese girls have very nice legs.
哦，台湾女生的腿都很漂亮，这样子。
他该不会说的是小熊吧？
小熊的英文怎么？
小熊的英文哦，我不知道。
Do you mean like the host from yesterday?
What?
What? You know the host yesterday.
Oh, 昨日の司会者みたいなこと。Yeah.
感觉那一头好像对小熊特别有好感，从他的那个眼神当中看得出来，应该有好感。
他有女朋友啊？
哦，没关系啦，这个就是欣赏嘛。哦。对啊，很多像每个人都有女朋友，但是还是可以有欣赏的对象。
Looks like you are very admiring to the host.
じゃあなんか司会者のことすごいよく見てますよね。マイク。
結構向こうの方が今日の方とかが結構視線を合わせてきてくれたので、ちょっと見ないと失礼かなと思って、綺麗な方だなと。
Like when he's waiting and stuff, like she looks at him, so he's just looking back. That's it. That's it. Okay.
他说他在休息的时候，有时候小熊看到他，他就只是会回个眼神而已，就只是这样子，对，不要误会的。
真的吗？我觉得下次可以就是跟他握个手之类的，说不定会成为他们的胜利女神。
Yeah, maybe you can shake hands next time, and she might be the win. Bring you wins. Yeah, good luck.
次回はその会った時にその握手とかしたらいいんじゃないですか。いい幸運が訪れるかもしれないです。
します。
He will.
他会。
好，这边要谢谢我们可以看到SunSister2位选手接受我们的访问那么也看得到他们在比赛以外，因为比赛的时候比较严肃的一面，但这个时候我们可以看到他们展现非常轻松的一面，也让我们更了解SunSister。谢谢你们接受我们访问。
Thank you very much for the interview.
No, thank you.
对，Thank you。这边我们要进一段广告。